Welcome back. What's good, everyone? This is your girl Ashley Mendoza back for another episode of Simpin After Dark. Today I have a very fun one planned, very anticipated. I feel like I've been talking about it, hyping it up, talking about marriage today, finally. And I got a very special guest. Go ahead and introduce yourself, please.
What's up, y'all? This is Erica here. Erica Mo to some of y'all from Mo Vintage. I'm super hyped to be here today.
So excited. We got a lot of fun stuff planned. Very exciting song. We'll get into that in a second. But before everything, like always, quick update or like all that. Go follow Amigas, the series on Instagram. We just recorded a song. I'm singing on it. I'm a motherfucking superstar, okay, if you didn't know. Go follow Wild 7 Studios on Instagram. Shout out to Wild 7 Studios. New episode just released featuring Alex from In the Words of Alex Rogers. And Naz is the host of the Wild 7 podcast. I was just on that. We talked about some really interesting stuff. Go check that out. And now, of course, quick update or little run through on the episode. We're talking about marriage. I've been hyping that up. I just did a poll on Instagram. If you're not following me on Instagram, please do at Simpin After Dark. I asked, do you guys plan on getting married one day? And I had almost a sample of 100. It was 90. It ended up being 90 after 24 hours. So I feel like that's a pretty good sample size. I know my audience is largely women, so it might be a little bit skewed, but it's all good. I feel like the results were pretty much close to what I guessed. We'll get into that. And then I have a bunch of points. I'm on TikTok, so I have a lot of shit that I see that I'm like, holy fuck, I need to get into this. Are you on TikTok too, Erica?
I am on TikTok. I'm fairly new to TikTok, like maybe 7 months in, but I enjoy it.
Okay, yeah.
At night, but I love it.
A lot of good shit on there, so especially for this episode. And yeah, so today, the song that we're going to be getting into, I feel like it's pretty obvious. We're talking about marriage, right? So I'll give you guys a second to guess. What song is about marriage? R&B. I feel like if you know R&B at all.
If you've been to a wedding at all,
yeah,
I know this.
Please. Like, it's Jagged Edge. Let's get married. All right. So there are two versions of the song, right? There is the very sleek, beautiful R&B version, just Jagged Edge, just super late 90s, early 2000s vibe.
And that's like walk down the aisle version.
Definitely. That's like the wedding song, like first dance or walk down the aisle or walk back from the aisle, whatever version. And then there's actually like the more hype version. That version is super dope. They got Run DMC. It's way more lit. The vibes are completely different. Let me go ahead and just like play them because it's pretty funny. The difference. Let's go. Woo.
Feeling a lot of things right now.
Right?
It's like the phone intro too. It's like
right? Yeah. So I was like actually listening to like the song on Spotify and like it does not have that like beginning intro. So I was like going to YouTube, rip that shit. And it has like a whole intro. We'll talk about the music video in a minute, but basically there's an intro, like those music videos where it's like a little movie sequence at the beginning and then it's like the song and then it breaks and it's like a little clip where they keep going, getting into it. And it totally changed the vibe of the song for me, but we'll talk about that. Let me play a little clip of the remix. All right. Oh my God.
It's so good.
Shout out the ambulance. Always a motherfucking ambulance. It's not Simpin After Dark if there's no motherfucking ambulance.
It's like one of your little like sound cues, I feel
It is. But yeah, so they're both really good. It was really hard to pick which one, but obviously I gotta go with the original. A lot more simpy R&B vibes, marriage vibes. But the remix though is so fucking good.
I fuck with the remix. I'm sorry, I love the remix the most.
It's so good. It's so good. And like, of course, I love any song that's like getting you in your feelings while also like being lit. All right, let's let this fucking shit go by.
I'm like, what is going on in downtown?
It's always something. All right. So like I was saying, the music video, which I think you said you have not seen it, right?
I have
so
not.
I was kind of filling you in on it. So basically, it starts at the beginning. It's like a guy telling his girl, like, you know, come on, babe, like, I just love you. Like, we should do it. We should do it. And it's cute. You're like, yeah, you guys should do it. Like,
Wait, he's like convincing her to marry him?
Kind of just like telling her, like, they're in a dark room. It's kind of weird. Like, I can't really tell where they are. It's just a dark room. And like, they both look good. And he's just like, yeah, babe, I love you. And you could kind of hear like the beginning of the clip I played where she's like, I don't know. I don't think you're ready. I don't think you're ready. And she knows. Ladies, if you fucking know he ain't ready, he ain't ready.
That's one of the points, though. Like, if you know, you know.
Yeah, that's like, don't ignore your gut ever. You better listen to your gut. That's the smartest piece of body part you have is your gut. That's your second brain. You know, some people argue it's your first brain.
And a lot of people think, like, that's fear, right? Some people will argue, like, oh, that's just, like, fear.
Like bad feeling or something.
Yeah, like, you're getting butterflies, cold feet, whatever. Like, yo, that's your gut telling you something ain't right. Like,
yeah.
Listen to that.
Ambulance.
Listen to that like we're listening to this.
No, yeah, I know there's a documentary. If I find it by the time I upload this shit, I'll link it because I haven't seen it myself, but I've had people like tell me about it. How literally like your gut is like a second brain, sometimes even like on the level of your brain, on the way it sends like signals to the rest of your body and like lets you know things that your brain can't really sense. Mm-hmm. It's just like a second like security system and just like neurological center of warning you and telling you things that your brain can't grasp. It's pretty fucking amazing. But yeah, so she gets a feeling. She's like, oh, no, you're not ready for this, blah, blah, blah. She says something about his homies, probably along the lines of like, like, I know you guys, right? You always can tell you are who you hang with, right?
She's like, I know your friends.
Exactly. So then the song goes on and then it breaks in the middle where he's like, it looks like, first of all, there's a part where she's walking and he like pulls up with all his homies in a car. And then he like hops out and she's like kind of like annoyed, like, And then it flashes forward to he's at a party and then she's at home and she's calling him. And he goes to answer. And as soon as he answers, like this other hoe comes up to him. He's at a party and he kind of puts the phone down. And then it's like his girl, like, hello, hello. And he just puts it down but doesn't hang up, of course. And then this girl is just like sitting on his lap, flirting with him. And he just is kind of going with it, obviously. Like if he was the man for you, he would push that bitch to the ground.
I'm like, why is he just like sitting there? That's wild.
So you're just going to take it?
And you were just trying to convince someone to marry you.
Like, what the fuck? I feel like that's typical 90s, 2000s portrayal of the loyal man. Like that was acceptable back then, right? So then they end up getting married.
Why was the bar so low?
It was like I literally just tweeted the other day. I was like, it blows my mind how like back then they used to like convince us that these men in like movies or like music videos, for this example, how like they'll be basically on the verge of cheating or like basically cheating on a level that's like not fucking, you know, it's right before they fuck. They'll like be like, you know what, let me not do this because I love my girl. And then the girl like will never find out, but it's like kind of framed in a way that's like, see, he knew where she was the whole time. He loves her and that's why they're together. And like that's how this video is like he was literally just begging this girl to marry him, and then he goes and has this girl sitting on his lap and not pushing her to the ground or slapping her. This is not like something to, I'm not saying slap women, but you know, metaphorically slap that bitch to the ground. Right?
Letting another woman like on your lap like that is just like enough. Like if you are like down for someone and you're trying to like fucking marry them and take that next step with them, like why would you even allow someone into your like zone?
That's way too close in the bubble.
Super close. And like that means you're willing to risk it all, because that means you're willing to do something that you know might possibly at some point get found out, and then you'd lose whatever you're building with this other person.
Yeah, so if like that was you and then you found out later like your girl was at the party and she's like, yo, I just seen your dude at the party and like there was some girl on his lap, and like you in your mind you're like, oh yeah, at 7:00, yeah, I did call and he stopped when I said hello, like he just didn't hang up, but like I heard people, so you made it all click and you realized, would you be like willing to talk it out, or would you be like, we're done?
Like I feel like the way that you're able to like switch so quickly from like, yo, I'm about you, I want to marry you, I want to do these things, but then so bitch comes and sits on your lap, and that's all it takes for those few seconds for you to just be like, let me put this phone down, forget the conversation we're having, and just like be in this moment, and then like snap back like, just kidding, like, no,
right? Like the fact like he couldn't even hang up. Like that's how stupid your brain just turned to mush. You couldn't even hang up. Like, and you forgot you just said hello.
Yes. And you're still in that mindset of like your brain being in mush with this woman on your lap. Who knows where that could go, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. Ugh. I just feel like there's so much involved with like marriage. It's like the ultimate promise, right? To someone you love. The ultimate promise to like not be okay with these things, to like not get overtaken by these temptations, to like set a boundary with yourself and other people of the opposite sex. Like, it's a promise you're making to someone, and that shit's not abiding by the promise.
Exactly. Like, I feel like if you're failing and you haven't even got married yet, are you even to be trusted? Are you even husband material? Because you sound like a hoe to me.
That sounds like, why would I even let you go on a fucking bachelorette party or a bachelor party? Because you're about to be in a strip club, letting other women who, by the way, I'm not stripper shaming, because get your bag. That's not what this is about. This is about men who might not possibly be ready. And I hate the idea of like your last night of freedom or like the ball and chain. Like, why? Why do we give that title to marriage? Because marriage should essentially be like a promise you're making to the person that you love, that you want to spend the rest of your life with. And it's actually something that's very beautiful. Yeah. But when you attach like
you're not excited?
I'm like, why are you looking at me like a prison sentence?
Like, yeah, if you're about to get married and you view it as a prison sentence, you're not marrying the right person. No. And I feel like that's very much what I was talking about on the episode with Black Galifianakis, which is 2 episodes ago. And actually, I just, if you follow me on Instagram, thank you, but also go follow me on TikTok, because once in a while I'll upload extra clips from the episode to TikTok. So I just uploaded a video to TikTok from the episode with Black Galifianakis. It's going a little viral right now. It's me just going off about the whole strippers and bachelor party scenario. I uploaded one to Instagram, but I did another one where it's mostly just me talking, which is why I didn't post it to Instagram, because I like to just like put shine on my guests on Instagram. So I uploaded to TikTok one. It was just mainly me talking the whole time.
I was wondering, like, which one went viral? Was it where you were saying, like, if you're with me, there shouldn't be no other bitch on your lap? Like, because I was like,
no, it's a completely separate one. It's like exclusive to TikTok.
Oh, I gotta go see
I'll
that.
send it to you later.
Let me see this.
I'll show you after we record. It's basically me saying, basically along the same lines of what I was saying about like, it's beyond trust to me. Like, because people try to make the whole like strippers at bachelor parties thing about like, well, if you trust your man, blah, blah, blah. And it was just me kind of just going off about, it's not about trust. It's about like respect, you know? Mm-hmm. And I think women have been gaslighted to the point that we have to just kind of accept that men going to see naked women for the bachelor party is normal. And that if we're not okay with it, that we're insecure. And I don't think that's the case at all. I think a woman not wanting her man to be around naked women, that's not you being insecure. Like, that's normal. I think that's completely reasonable for you to feel a way about it. And not to say that if you're cool with it, that like whatever, but if you aren't cool with it, that's fine too. Yeah. And those are the boundaries that you have, and that's why it's important to talk about these things. Because if it's like you don't talk about this until it comes time to planning the bachelor and the bachelorette party, and now like he's like, I have to, and you're like, oh fuck no, that's going to be a fucking problem. So you need to talk about these things from jump.
I think it falls under that like umbrella of like boys will be boys. And I hate that term, because it's just like this weak ass like little term to justify men acting like fools. Yeah. Like boys, if you're a grown ass man and you're to the point where you're telling a woman you're ready for marriage, you're ready to commit, you're ready to make this ultimate promise to her, but you're still going to have this one night where you can act like an absolute fool and be a little boy. Like, yeah, go out and have fun with your friends and get fucked up and do whatever the fuck. But it does not have to involve another woman. Like that whole thing of like your last night being single. Like, you were fucking dating me for how many years? You haven't been single in so long.
Literally.
So you're going to take this one chance to just have this night where you feel single again? Like, then you're not ready if you need that, right? Like,
exactly. No, like if you still feel like you need to go out and do your thing and live your life, do that. But then why were you in a relationship from the jump, you know? It's too much. Like, pretty much men just get too much slack around here. And, yeah, so let's get into some lyrics from this song just because it's pretty funny, right? So he talks about, I know these so-called players wouldn't tell you this, but I'm going to be real and say what's on my heart. Let's take this chance and make this love feel relevant. Didn't you know I loved you from the start? When you think about all the years we put in this relationship, who knew we'd make it this far? Then I think about where would I be if we were to just fall apart? And I can't stand the thought of losing you. So, of course, this makes a great wedding song. It's like, oh, my God, we've had all these years together, all this time together.
I don't know how you read that, like, regularly without reading it, like, in his, like, voice. When I think about it.
I know.
As you're reading it, I was like, damn.
It's hard. I feel like I do that more when it's rap. Like, when I did Doja, and then, like, I think last week's episode, it was rap, too. It was, like, J. Cole and Joyner Lucas. So when I read it, I'm just like, duh, 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 duh. Like, when it's singing, it's a little bit easier for me for some reason.
With this one, all I think is when I think about.
I know.
It's like all
when I think about. Yeah, when I think about. So, I don't know. Okay, so how do you feel? Do you feel like the longer you spend together, it's like you should get married? Or do you think, like, time together matters?
So I don't think, like, you should base who you're going to marry on, like, the time you spend together. Because you could spend X amount of time with someone and, like, after however many years figure out that maybe you're not meant to be. Maybe you were just comfortable, you know? To me, marriage is as important as you make it. I think that there's, like, this idea that, like, some women don't want to get married and they're, like, devaluing the idea of marriage. But marriage is how much importance you set on it. So, like, if your intention in being in a relationship is to get married, then you're in that relationship with the idea that we're building towards marriage. If maybe your long-term isn't that you want to get married, then you're in a relationship with the idea that we're connecting and growing, but that's not really where we want to go. And I don't necessarily think that, like, time equals you should get married. I think that's, like, kind of like a societal standard. Like, oh, you've been together long enough, now is the time. Because that doesn't necessarily mean that you're, like, meant to be together. It might just mean comfort.
Yeah, I agree. And I feel like that's important for, like, I think mostly younger people to hear. Because I think, especially now, there's more of a message being pushed of, like, you know, if you're with somebody for so long and, like, they don't propose to you by this long or ask you to be their girlfriend by this long, like, leave them. And I think it's different. I do think that, like, if you know you want to be in a relationship with someone, that, like, yeah, there should be, like, if you want someone to be your boyfriend and you've been dating for, like, months and you're like, why isn't he asking me to be his girlfriend? Then, yeah, you probably should set a time limit on that. Because I think when it's like that, it gives people kind of leniency. But I think when it comes to marriage and it's like you're in a committed relationship already, it's a little bit different. Like, if you know you both don't want marriage, then it's like you both know what it is already. Versus if one of you wants marriage and the other one doesn't want marriage, that's where it could get a little fucking slippery because you both have different ideas in mind. If you're not on the same page, it's going to be a little bit rocky. But I also think that brings me to the whole thing about, like, guys in the military always trying to get married super fucking fast.
Okay, so I've heard this. I'm, like, a, like, super single person, and I have been for a majority of my life. And I've heard, like, people I know say, like, go to a fucking, like, military base. Like, dudes are down to wife a bitch up. And I'm like...
That's not even a good thing, though.
That doesn't mean that's what I want. Like,
yeah.
That means... Okay, so I think it's... But I also feel like there's, like, comfort, right? Like, if they're in the military, they're in this, like, thing where they're, like, around all this, like, masculinity and just, like, they have this, like, intense training and all these things. I mean, at the end of the day, wouldn't you want to come home to, like, for lack of better terms, like, a warm body for someone who's, like, taking care of you, who's cooking for you, who's going to be there at night when you fall asleep? Like, and maybe, like, the criteria for what you want in someone long term isn't really there because you're just like, oh, this person is there and they're down for me for the time being to help me through whatever this is.
Yeah.
I don't know. That shit's wild. I don't necessarily really think I could ever date anyone who was, like, ex-military or anything. I feel like there's a lot of other shit attached there that, like,
100%,
not really interested in.
Yeah, that's definitely, like, a whole lifestyle that you have to commit to.
It's a lot of,
like, that's on one, a whole lifestyle. Second, I feel like this is mostly for younger guys in the military. You hear it all the time that they get married so that they can get like, the tax benefits. And I don't know like how accurate this is, but supposedly why a lot of them get married is because they make pretty much twice as much.
Yes, I've heard that. And also I've heard, so like in my 20s at one point, a close friend of mine, I don't think he was in the Army. I think he was like in the Navy or something. But he had mentioned that to me, like, hey, we should just like on paper get married because you get the tax benefit and like
it don't give you your cut.
One of the selling points was like you'll have great medical benefits, but also like he wanted to be stationed closer to home. And I think if you're like you have family closer or something, there's something within that like you can
try
be
to get you there.
You can be stationed a little bit closer or something. And I was like, no, it's not for me. But yeah, there's all these different benefits from it. But still, like that just kind of like shits on like what marriage is. Like
it is, and it's just like so crazy because people talk about every other demographic like cheating the system, and then it's like you have all these like military members.
These are your heroes. Don't forget,
right there, cheating the system for a fatter paycheck, and then screwing over women because they know they could get paid double. I literally dated a guy. He was in the Navy. And we were dating for a while, and then a few months in, I would say we were fucking for a while more than anything. I wouldn't say dating. We're just hooking up, But still, like, it was like, we both thought we were just single. Turns out he's married.
What?
He ended up telling me. I was like,
wait, where'd you meet him? At like a bar or like?
It was like friend of a friend type thing. That's most of the guys in my life that I've hooked up with were friends of friends type of thing, mutuals. But yeah, but I was like so shook. I was like, you're married? And he's like, yeah, but we're not together, blah, blah, blah.
How did you find out?
He just told me one day.
After you guys were like already hooking up?
Yes. Like, and it was like one time, I think because we were supposed to hang out because he was like in San Diego stationed. And then he was like, actually, I can't come. And then he like told me, and he was like, yeah, because like my wife is coming to visit me just because like she has to. I was like, what? And he kept trying to like dilute it like it wasn't more like, yeah, but they were definitely still hooking up, but he kept trying to make it seem like I just have to see her because I don't remember why, but like
because
I was
she's
young.
Your wife.
Yeah, and like even one time he was like, oh yeah, I had to buy her like a purse because I felt bad because her purse like was really old and like she needed a new purse. And I was like, I was so stupid back then. That's why I'm telling you guys, listeners, I've been through shit. That's why you need to listen to me because I've been through my share of being a fucking dumb ass bitch, all right? Like, this man I was hooking up with was like, I just had to buy my wife a purse, but it's cool anyway when we're hanging out.
Because it was old.
Yeah, like feeling bad for her, and I was like, oh yeah, poor girl. Like, what?
Also, that's his wife. He doesn't owe you any explanation as to why he has to buy his wife anything.
Yes, but like, it's like they weren't together, but they were. Like, he was like, we're not together, that's why me and you are hooking up, but then she has to come stay the weekend because she has nowhere else to go. Huh? And I was just cool with it. And then they got divorced. Now he's remarried.
Is that military dick?
Yo. What the hell? It wasn't even good. I was just fucking young. It was actually fucking trash, if we're being real.
Do you date with the intention of marrying? Like when you meet people? Like, is that like...
I don't think I ever have.
I never have either.
No. I think I've always been very just like chill about dating. And like, I didn't even want to get... I would say for, when I was younger, like mostly every girl, you are like, I want to get married one day until like, the glass shatters. I was never huge about like, planning my wedding and knowing what dress I want and what colors, like that deep into it, like some girls are. Mm-hmm. But I was never super about it. Like I was always super chill about the idea. Like even now, I don't know if I want to get married, Yeah. I definitely... I don't know. It's weird. Like, I've never put pressure on guys, and that's clearly why I was hooking up with this dude that was married. I don't know. Yeah. It's fucking wild.
I think I can definitely agree. Like, I do not date with the idea that I'm going to marry this person. I also feel like when you're going on a first date with someone, you're going on a first date with them to get to know them. And, like, to even see if you want to spend time with them beyond just the couple hours in the first date. So that's so much pressure to go into your first meeting with someone to like, I'm already overanalyzing shit, to be honest. And then going into it with the idea of like, oh, am I going to marry you? Can I marry you? Do I see a future with you? All these these expectations, so much going on. Like, I don't know. And I just never really thought about the idea of marriage. To me, it's like not a thing that's on my bucket list. Like, I'm open to it. If it happens, I'm completely open to it. But I also don't feel pressure to do it, or like I don't feel like if it doesn't happen, I'm like lacking in my life, you know?
Yeah, I feel like that's where more women are kind of leaning towards now. And like, honestly, we don't have to get into this song because I feel like we have so many things to get into. Like, I just wanted to play them because like they're a bop. I know I have a lot of younger listeners, so fucking go listen to fucking Jagged Edge. Go on Spotify, Jagged Edge Radio. Like, listen, like their song with Nelly. What the fuck is it called? I forgot. But they have some fucking bops, some really great songs, some questionable lyrics. I forgot what song. I was like listening to like some of their old like discography, and there was like one talking about how like there's always like a great woman behind a man. I forgot this song, but he's talking about like Ike and Tina, I ain't trying to beat ya. What? I was fucking dying. Like, who let them fucking say this? And like, it's not like it's funny. Like the way they're singing like this song, they were singing it just like that.
It's a ballad.
Like, it was a ballad. I was fucking dying. So, and it turns out they have.
Who okayed that? Who
I don't
said,
know.
That's it. Put that on the album. Who gave the
I
okay
was
for
crying.
that?
I was straightening my hair like earlier, just getting ready to
wild.
cut my hair, and I was like, "Holy shit!" Yeah, it was like 2001 or something like that.
Was it like a love song though? So that's like a love song lyric. Is like I can Tina. I ain't trying to beat you.
It was called Head of the Household, I think.
Of course it was.
Of course, right? Yeah,
because it makes
yeah. So it's basically
sense.
about just like. Or maybe it was the one before that, or I don't know. I was listening to a bunch of the music, and
we just have a whole episode in digging into like the problematic lyrics of Jagged Edge.
Yeah, literally, because I feel like a lot of the lyrics are either about like super like marriagey, like, you know, die hard, I love you, simp shit.
Oh, they're super simps for
sure. Or like super sexual shit. There's some really good ones. There's some really good ones. Or like the one with like Nelly. Song? It was really good. It's like one of like their most popular songs.
I'm still shook over this lyric that you just said.
Yeah, it was very surprising.
Oh, wait a sec.
I can't think of the lyrics.
Run 30. It's where the party at?
Oh yeah, where the party at?
Girls in the way with the Bacardi at. Who still drinks Bacardi? Not me.
Oof. I was going to say I never have, but no, I did. That's why I don't drink it.
Definitely did.
Because I did.
Who still does?
Yeah.
Who's keeping them
If you ain't got alcohol poisoning by now, have you lived?
It's really not a nice taste.
I need to do a quick sidebar, because when I posted that clip on TikTok about how like men should stay sober with their girls during pregnancy, that little clip went a little bit viral too, and like, you know, mostly people are just like agreeing with me, but there's always like those like few people that like lack comprehension skills and want to go on tangents or be like, what about? And it's like, I didn't say nothing about that. So
was it men who did that, or
mostly? But there was some women too.
What were the tangents? I'm curious.
Just some girl was like, but can we talk about how normalized alcohol is? And it's like, no, this is Simpin after dark. Like,
that's not the topic, boo.
We can't talk about that.
You're getting off topic right now.
And then like men,
I asked a question.
Literally. And then men talking about like, well, you know, there's women that like are like hardcore alcoholics that don't stop drinking. And it's like, we're not. Why? You know, like some mom lions eat their cubs too, right? But I'm not talking about that because that's not the fucking subject. Okay, so don't hit me with your dumb shit.
That's what's so funny about the internet is like you pose a very simple question and then it becomes like this abyss of just people to like dump their shit on.
You literally talking about apples and people show up talking about oranges. Like,
talk about alcohol and people show up talking about lions.
Yes, like what? Like please, like no. I just had no words.
Something with yourself. Like why?
Like this is a 1 minute clip of a fucking hour-long podcast, and also, you want to come at me?
Don't have anything to say about the topic.
This isn't the topic.
It's TikTok. All you have to do is
swipe, go to the next fucking video. Like I don't know why, but basically I wanted to address it because I feel like for some reason people keep like commenting on it and just talking about like, oh, because this guy was like, oh, he was like, the comments on this video are bonkers. Y'all a bunch of alcoholics. I was like, okay, Mr. Perfect. Because first of all, you know, addiction looks a lot more than like just alcohol or drugs. Like you could be addicted to the gym. You could be addicted to eating clean. Addiction, you know, they say if you have an addictive personality and you have to kick that addiction, you don't kick addiction. You kick that addiction and you find a healthier addiction. So don't think you're better than someone because you have a healthier addiction. Don't think you're better than someone because you don't have an addiction, period. Stay off my shit. Like, it's a fucking 30-second to a minute fucking video clip. Like, don't come on my shit talking shit.
Keep it scrolling.
Anyway, that was my rant.
Glad you got that out.
Because I'm fucking tired. People, like, coming on, like, it's not even the fucking topic, you know? Yeah. It's just really fucking annoying.
But I feel like that's, like, kind of what TikTok is, though. It's, like, this just, like, whole place where people have a lot of opinions, and they will find whatever place they can to, like...
Yeah.
It's kind of what we're doing here. We're putting our opinions out on the interweb, but we are sticking to the topic.
Yeah, and that's why, like, we're doing this, talking about our own shit that we want to, but for, like, the people, like, to come on and, like, talk about whatever else, it's, like, start your own podcast then, or, like, make your own fucking TikTok video, or your own Instagram video, or whatever it is. It's just, like, really fucking... Ugh.
I feel like people look for a place, too, where they can oppose whatever, like...
Yeah, because everybody has opinions, right? So, like, they just, like, feel like they can't say it unless somebody else starts the conversation. And let's, like, no, get some confidence. Just say what the fuck you got to say with your chest somewhere else, Dusty. So, I have, I was going to do this last, but I think it kind of ties in a little bit into what we were talking about. Okay. And we're talking about marriage, right? Mm-hmm. So, I had an anonymous person say, they hit me up and said... Good morning. I recently found out my husband has been following 2 strippers on Snapchat, and one of them, he has her private number. I saved all the numbers in my contacts, and about a week ago, I was on TikTok, and I noticed this page of a stripper. I guess TikTok is linking my contacts from my phone, and that's how I found out. He keeps denying and said nothing happened. Please, can you guys talk about this subject? I would like to hear your opinions. Anonymous, please. So, yes, you are anonymous. And I was like, oh, my fucking God, I am so sorry. And then after, she had said that they had been married for, like, 20 years, I think. Oh. Yeah. I was, like, shaking.
I think, so the thing is, like, I think with people in general, not even just strippers, with, like, the opposite sex on TikTok, it's, like, this person who you know is a real person, but also there's, like, this, like, they're just like a social media person, you know? Yeah. So it's almost like you feel like you're not doing something wrong because you're like, oh, they're like have this status. And I think a lot of men justify that. I personally know men who have said like, oh, well, it's not a big deal because they have like all these followers. And I'm just like making casual conversation.
I've dated a guy before where he was like, it's just an Instagram model.
No.
And I was like, you mean an Instagram thought? She's not a model. She's in her fucking bedroom.
It's another woman. Like, even at the basic
period,
thing, like, it's another woman.
Even people like, it's just a stripper. I'm like, you mean a woman? No. What do you mean? Like, I hate that excuse, first of all. But, okay, so for her, basically, it was the fact that it was, like, on Snapchat. So, basically, on Snapchat, I feel like when you follow, like, someone like that, it's, like, a private Snapchat or, like, the Snapchat Premiums or something, I'm guessing, right?
I've never, ever seen Snapchat Premium. But as a bitch who has used Snapchat to be sus, I would definitely see red flags all around if my man was following anybody on Snapchat. I automatically think, like, if you're doing shit on Snapchat, that's fucking a big red flag. Like, you doing some shit that you don't want people to know about.
Snapchat is kind of a shady app to me. Definitely. I feel like especially the older you get, like, why are you on Snapchat and you're 30, you know?
I just reactivated my Snapchat and I felt shady as fuck. And I know I was doing it to be shady as fuck. So...
You heard it here. You heard it here.
Self-awareness.
Yeah. So, okay. So he's following strippers on Snapchat. Okay, yeah. So I've done the same thing.
Snapchat Premium?
I think it's basically kind of like OnlyFans where you have to pay for like premium content type shit. Especially if it's a stripper. It's like, you know, you can follow them and see shit, but then it's like you get horny enough, you're going to pay a couple $.
And so it deletes like when you watch it? Like, so there's like no trace?
I don't know.
I'm like, let me pull up my newly downloaded Snapchat and look into
I'm not sure, but like to me, I think that's probably irrelevant to the story, whether it deletes or not. Yeah, you know, you're paying for content regardless, right? So, so I get the whole thing about how she saved the numbers just to kind of be like, what is this number that you have on Snapchat? And then on TikTok, it's kind of like any app where it like links your contacts to find people that you know. And then she started following fucking stripper that her husband was following on Snapchat, on TikTok, so she knows like who it is, probably sees what kind of content it is.
Ugh.
Ooh.
I don't understand like why people in this day and age don't understand that like social media is the easiest fucking way to get caught up.
Oh, I think
So
older
easy.
men. I think older men don't realize it
Really?
too.
I'm like,
Yeah, no, because
y'all need to
I've
take
I've
note.
known like older couples where like the wife will like see on her husband's phone like on the explore page, it's like all these like young girls.
yeah.
Like, why? God, I would throw up.
I think TikTok would like tell a lot too because the algorithm's like so good on TikTok.
Yeah. Oh,
So
no.
it just,
Any app basically now caters kind of to you, the content. So, like, if you go through your significant other's social media explore page or like For You page on TikTok or Twitter, whatever, it's going to show you what they're looking at because it's based on what they look at, right? So she said that he's denying it and said nothing happened. And by nothing happened, I'm like, what do you mean nothing happened?
That's what I was wondering.
Because
too,
if
like, what is
he's
he
already
denying?
following bitch strippers on Snapchat, and like, oh my God, I don't know how to not sound insensitive. Because like, if you're married to this man for 20 years, I know it's not as easy as just leaving. But let me be as objective as I can be. He's fucking shady. But I know it's not just as easy as leaving someone that you've been with for 20 years and you're married, you know? I don't know. That's rough. What do you think?
I feel like if you've been with someone for 20 years, there's a really deeply embedded trust already, right? Like you've obviously you dated them and you've grown beyond the dating stage into the point where you're like, I'm going to be with someone for this long amount of time. I think when men do shit like that, it's because a part of them is like seeking some other fucking shit. And I think if you've been with someone for that long, have the fucking conversation. Be like, I'm feeling away and I'm not really that into whatever this is, or I'm my eyes are like straying, my thoughts are straying. I just feel like
something's lacking.
Yeah, 20 years is a really long time. You grow so much with a person and like you establish so much trust. To not be able to just have a straight out conversation and do sneaky shit like that, that's fucked up. Like,
and that's why I feel like the divorce rates between people that were married in like the 90s and like before, they're so much higher than like now. Because I feel like back then, like the stress on like open communication wasn't as high. I feel like back then, like women and like men, and this is like very like heteronormative, but like, for men and women in relationships, like the communication wasn't normalized. Like being able to talk about these things or like connecting with your feelings and all
like
that.
feelings in men, even like men talking about feelings.
Exactly. Like all that wasn't normalized. So I feel like back then, like cheating and straying from your relationship and being disloyal was very common. And I mean, I hope, like for me in my little hopeful brain, I'm like, I hope that brings down the like cheating rates and divorce rates now, because now like we're learning more and like calling men out more for their fuck shit, which we'll get into a lot of their fuck shit. But I don't know, like, oh my God, like advice
My personal
for
advice,
Anonymous.
my advice for you, Anonymous, would be, again, I keep going back to like 20 years together. 20 years together means you guys know each other inside and out. Like that's a level of trust that a lot of people don't really get to because a lot of people don't hit that 20-year mark.
That's a long time.
There's something lacking there. And I think you love this person enough to obviously still be with them and be seeking advice from Simpin to like try to figure this shit out. And I think like at the core of it is just like have the conversation in like a non-confrontational way. You keep saying like he's denying it. And I think like it's worth trying to sit down and be like, yo, something is not fucking right here. And if whatever he's denying, still there's like something amiss in the relationship. I've never been with anyone for 20 years, so I don't know what it's like to have a conversation like that. But I do know that there's obviously a lot of love and a lot of trust at the core of all that. So I think that that's worth tapping into, is tap into that shit. Like tap into the love and the trust that you built with this person and be like, yo, you hurt me because of this shit. And there's something that's going on with you that you feel the need to seek these other options outside of me. I don't know. I just truly believe like everything can really be figured out through like the hard talk. I'm like a huge advocate of just like have the talk.
Yeah, being open. I love that. Yeah, that's really great advice. And basically, yeah, I agree. And I think especially like the longer that you're married, it becomes harder maybe to like be sexually turned on by each other, even though that's kind of like something hard to admit or like a hard pill to swallow. But that's why you gotta like talk about these things, because as much as people like hate the idea of having open marriage or being polyamorous or whatever, sometimes it's an option. If it's not, then spice up your sex life. Like, do something, but it's something that you guys need to do together, because even talking about it together will strengthen that bond, whatever you decide on. But like, that needs to be an open conversation together. Like, him just going off and like paying for premium Snapchats, or even if he's not paying, but just like doing all this, it's hurtful to the other partner, and it's disrespectful, and it can feel like disloyalty. It is a little bit disloyalty, depending on your boundaries, whatever. But either way, it's hurtful. So it's something that you need to talk about, because, you know, that 20 years is a long time. So figure it out together. I feel like he's just trying to like deal with it on his own. And if you guys aren't used to being vulnerable and talking together open like that, it's something that you should do before it gets worse.
This like low key could be the catalyst to like you guys elevating in your relationship to figure out like some other shit and just like growing stronger together.
Yeah, for sure. It's usually like the tough situations that can bring people closer together, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
It's so sad. It's crazy, but stay strong and just know it's normal. And just like sometimes the men are really dumb, and you need to like break it down for them in terms of like, how would you feel if I was doing the same thing? Yes. And like, it's not like you should have to do that every time, but like, if you at least break that down for them one time and hopefully they get it. Like, it blows my mind that women have to do that at all. Like, tell men, like, oh, picture it from my point of view. Because that should be basic common sense as, like, a human with empathy. But sometimes it's not for men. Sometimes they're, like, actually really slow at empathy.
And I think, like, when there's something, like, Snapchat or whatever it may be, right? It's, like, right there. So, like, in the moment, they're, like, seeing this thing there. They're clicking. And, like, before they know it, they're like in this space and they're not thinking about you. Like, as fucking sad as that is, they're not. But that's where you have the conversation. Like, yo, this shit is hurtful. It's not okay to do this. Like, you have to set that boundary and like low key, like, love yourself enough to be like, this is what I expect out of this relationship. Yeah. And I need you to like meet me there.
Yeah, like, they're definitely not doing these things to hurt you. It's just the fact that you found out that hurts. But that's valid. So that being valid in itself should just kick off more communication and closeness, you know. Before we move on, I forgot. I wanted to tell you this.
What the fuck is this article?
I was looking into Jagged Edge because...
You're lying.
Yeah, so I forgot. Okay, I don't know how I found this, but I was looking into Jagged Edge about the members, because it's like a boy group, you know. So one of the guys, Jagged Edge, is two guys, they're twins, and then two other guys. One of the two other guys, his name was Kyle Norman. First he was accused of trying to stab his son during a drunken fight in 2016. And then, actually before that, so he was already in trouble for, ladies and gentlemen, force feeding his fiance an engagement ring, bro.
What
the fuck?
Did he say, want to think about? I cannot believe this.
I was like, shook. I was like, it was really hard to keep this news from you because I wanted to share it. But I was like,
what is going on here?
Let me keep this. I need a genuine reaction.
I never hear the song in the same way. And like the headline on it too says like, they're oversized baby blue velour suits, white headbands, platinum chains, and braid hang time. Unfortunately, one of the, and then it goes into the story. I'm just like,
the suspense. Right?
I was not ready for this.
Yeah, this is.
He really want to get married. Oh my
god. Yeah, he was like, "Bitch, we are getting married.
Come on, won't you be my lady?" Oh my god.
Yeah. So this is really insane. So already the music video left me with a bad taste in my mouth, and now I find out one of these dudes is a fucking abuser to his son and fiance. How can people get married to this?
How does one force feed an engagement ring to someone.
I'm
like,
scared. I just
what
picture
the
him shoving it in there and then putting his hand over her mouth and being like, choke, bitch.
This fool is
This is violent. This is
I'm
very
saying
violent.
again, the 2000s were something else.
Insane. Kyle Norman. What the fuck?
Oh, Kyle Norman, you are problematic as fuck.
Super. And yeah, I'm guessing this is probably why like their newer music hasn't really been marketed.
Did they have new music beyond?
Apparently, yeah, I was on Spotify and they had like projects on projects, like
you don't hear about
2020 going down. Like, yeah.
I'm sorry, if you walk down the aisle to Let's Get Married now after me reading this, I will not feel like it's beautiful. I will think about Kyle Norman force-feeding his fiancée an engagement ring.
A sentence from here. The victim reportedly had a huge knot on her forehead, a cut on her nose, a burst blood clot in her eye, consistent with her claims of being punched, and had been choked both with a scarf and when he shoved her engagement ring down her throat. Bitch. What?
What the fuck?
The violent dispute allegedly erupted after she confronted Norman about his drinking habit. However, Kyle told the police it was because of anger about Kyle's father having cancer. Unfortunately, this is not the first report of violence from the ex. Where the party at singer. Battle of Arms.
Where the party at in very serious article. They're like, by the way,
where the party at singer.
So upset.
A battle of R&B's past between Kyle and Cisco erupted backstage
What does that have to do with
concert
anything?
at the Concord. So he's apparently violent. How you
I'm
gonna
trying
go
to
at
find
Cisco?
Though? Like, how violent is that? Cisco's tiny. Real
That's
little.
crazy. And like, sidebar, apparently Cisco has really great music. I was listening to like Jagged Edge radio, and then also my boyfriend like loves Cisco, so I was like cracking up because I was like,
great.
Cisco does have good music.
Yes,
I
he
literally
does.
only knew the song, but
Really?
yeah, I never
Cisco
listened
has
to
great
anything
music.
else.
Did you
That's
listen
crazy.
to Cisco, just Cisco solo, or Cisco with Drew Hill?
It was like Drew Hill and Cisco like popping up different songs, but I don't know if they got songs together.
Because Cisco was in Drew Hill.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, see, like that's crazy.
I think Incomplete was Drew Hill, I want to say. But then Cisco
Incomplete,
also did,
I think it was Cisco actually.
Yeah?
Yeah, because
Okay.
that popped up and like I was like,
Okay.
I like that song. Yeah.
But also Cisco did tracks with Maya. That was like,
Maya.
I'm moving on. No, wait, that wasn't with Cisco. That was Cisco was All About Me. He's like, Cisco, Maya.
Bops after bops.
Yes.
I'm dead. That's amazing. Yeah, shout out Cisco and
Shout
the
out
thong
Cisco for
song.
not shoving rings down people's
Yeah,
throats.
good for you, Cisco. Shit, fucking whatever that guy's name was, I forgot already.
Kyle
Kyle
sounds like
fucking Kyle Norman.
Kyle Norman.
That's insane.
Sounds like some bullshit.
All right, so let's get into some shit because I got a motherfucking outline, baby. So real quick, motherfucking rundown on the origin of marriage because, you know, some people literally don't know that marriage wasn't about love forever. Okay, so no, marriage first. Okay, so first of all, before even marriage, it used to be like giant groups of people, like up to 30 people, where it was like multiple men and they would share women and then they would have kids, right? And it was like kind of the whole like it takes a village to raise a child type of thing, you know? But it was very, in a way, polyamorous, right? And then eventually, once like society became more civilized, they were like, or men were like, I need to know who's my legitimate offspring for like passing off my like money, or not money, but like, you know, property or
Like
just
your lineage kind
anything. Yeah, lineage, your name, anything. They were like, I need to know which one is my child in general. So then they were like, started selling off women as property, basically to just like pop out babies for men. And then if women cheated, you know, they would get killed, but men could still go off and fuck other women. But the point of marriage was to like bind women to men so that these men knew who were their legitimate offspring. And then eventually the Roman Catholic Church stepped in and they made it so that like women had better treatment and that men were more pressured to be loyal. All that pretty much has always just been a fucking weird thing of just like pressure to be loyal and of property. Basically, women have always been property. Like that is the point, because up until very recently, women, especially like in America, I don't know about other countries, you know, it differs like culture and country to country, But women weren't like allowed to open bank accounts or like have credit cards and shit unless they were married or own property, nothing like that. So marriage used to be kind of a necessity for women, you know?
Yeah.
So I think the reason now that a lot of people don't want to get married, well, women, is because women don't need to get married now. Now women get married if they want to. And the way that men have been socialized, and especially under patriarchy, a lot of them are not very likable, especially with incel culture, all that. Now they have to actually be likable. Women have to like you. You can't like go off and just be a dick and be misogynist. So if you are, women could just be like, bye, bitch. And they're not going to marry you. Therefore, a lot of y'all men ain't getting married. And I think that plays a big part into why women aren't getting married anymore. But I did a poll. I calculated the results. I said, do you plan on getting married? This was just Instagram, right? So yes, I want to get married. 40%. 40% of people said, yes, I want to get married. People that said, no, I don't want to get married was 14.4%. And then people that said, I'm not sure yet if I want to get married, 45.6%. So more people than not aren't sure if they want to get married or don't want to get married. So it's like 60-40 if we jumble no and not sure yet.
Is the majority you're following, is that like men or women?
I would say it's more women for sure. But I would say surprisingly for the no, I don't want to get married, it was more women than men.
I mean,
surprisingly, but not surprisingly.
Yeah, I don't think it's surprising.
According to what I just said, specifically too.
I also never knew that back history on like what marriage was, like how it began. I knew that there was a point when like the church stepped in and made it more of like kind of like a religious thing where it was like you have to be loyal. But I never knew the beginning origin of it. So thank you for that.
Yeah, it was like super weird. There's like so much backstory. I was like, I could get into this, but I don't know if people want like a whole history lesson.
I saw that on your notes and I was like, oh, I'm very curious as to what that is. So.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. But yeah, so what did you vote?
I voted not sure yet.
Me too. Me too.
I think that there's women and just people in general who are ready, like from a very young age, like they know that that's what they want. You know, they're like, I want to be married. This is part of like, and I think that depends on like, so I think there's a lot of different factors into this. I think it depends on like maybe like your upbringing, maybe your values, your religion. There's a lot of different things that like make you decide if you want to be married or not. For me personally, I just feel like it's never really been like a thing on my totem. Not to say like I'm closed off to it. I am open to it, but like it's never really been a thing that I'm just like,
it's not going to make or break you.
Make or break me. Yes,
yeah.
exactly.
It's not something that's going to make you fucking cry at night if you're not married by a certain age, right?
Yes. And I think before like, there was this like pressure of like, that's one of the things you have to do to be like seen as like a woman who like
valid,
like has your shit together, right? Like, you know, you go to school, you fucking graduate, you aim to bag a man, get married, have children, and have a household. Like that's what I think
that's what's turned me off to marriage so much. It's like not like bag a man, but like that you have to get picked. It's the fact that the man has to ask you if you want to get married, and like the way that marriage is framed, like you have to get picked, like the man has to ask you, like, oh my God, that turns me off to marriage so bad.
You know what's wild? Have you ever heard like how there was like actual like schools like girls would get sent to where they were like it was like kind of like a charm school thing where they would get sent to school, so they were like doing regular schooling, but within that you're doing like societal schooling. So you were like learning how to be like a lady, right? But also like act the right way so that a man would pick you to be his wife.
No.
It's wild. Like,
oh God.
And I mean, it's like at this point, it's like, why do you think so many women are opting out, or not even opting out, just looking beyond the idea of marriage? Because it's like, we've spent all these years where you're like low key like conditioning us to be this person who like needs that, like to be this person who falls into whatever role a man gives her.
And the divorce rates of the generation that push that, like, okay, the generation that is like telling women to act like this and be married by this age and to be feminine and this and do that, That's the generation that has the highest divorce rates. Like, okay. Miss me with that.
I just feel like right now, we're so much more aware of all of the like options we have, all of the possibility. You know, there's like so much strength in like where we are as just like,
and of all the downfalls in marriage.
And I feel like, honestly, I really feel like a lot of examples maybe that I've seen or that I know of is like women were getting married at a point out of necessity because they felt like, you know, they couldn't really provide for themselves. They didn't have the opportunity to provide for themselves.
Because they literally like weren't allowed to work for the longest time.
So it's like, what else do you do?
You have to get married. And that's what people don't realize now.
And now we have that opportunity, you know? So, of course, we're going to take other options. We're going to take other routes. Like, not all roads lead to marriage because that's not the only thing that we have to look forward to, honestly.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, speaking of divorce rates, like, okay, first of all, I was, like, so confused because, you know, there's, like, the, like, statistic that you hear about all the time about, like, you know, 50% of marriages end in divorce or 40 or 60 or whatever. Okay, I am not good at statistics because apparently the current divorce rate is 2.9 people per 1,000 people. And that's excluding 5 states, including California and, like, a few other ones. So I know it differs, like, for, like, other factors. I guess California may have lower divorce rates. I don't know.
Do you think it's lower? I feel like
I thought it would be higher, but I think I saw something that said California might have lower ones. I'm not sure. Could be wrong. But either way, it's not enough to, like, push it to 50. Like, I think I am not good at statistics. Like, I took stats once I got to college, and it was, like, my hardest subject, okay?
I'm not good with numbers at all, so.
Like, I'm good at regular math, but statistics fucked me up. I wanted to cry. So I guess it's a different stat or a different type of equation for the statistic of, like, 50% or 40% of marriages end in divorce than this one, which is 2.9 per 1,000 people. So basically, overall, the rate of divorce in America is falling. Divorces amongst people aged 50 plus is rising, which completely fits what the fuck we were just talking about. Fewer couples choose to marry than pre-1990. Also makes sense. And the U.S. divorce rate is amongst one of the highest in the world. And most Americans who file for divorce do so between January and March. And then one of, like, the reasons listed was, like, holiday strains because, like, finance, which I repeat, finance is important. I've talked to people that have been married and divorced, and most of the reasons are finance. So as much as you would like to think marriage is about love, it's not. Finance matters. Like, money matters. Like, get your shit together. Debt matters. Credit, like, all that shit. It fucking matters. Like, it's not just about love. It's not a fairy tale.
I used to know a person who they would always be, he was with his girlfriend for like ever. And I would be like, why don't they get married? And his guy friend was like, oh, it's because she has like bad credit. And I always thought like that was the shittiest thing I'd ever heard. Mind you, this was like in my early 20s. Yeah. And I was always like, that's like such a shitty thing. She's always there for him. But then like as I got older, I understood it. Like it really does. Like as
it'll take a toll real quick.
As it sounds like, it's like you work very hard to get yourself to a point financially and just to create a stability for yourself. So when you bring someone else into that, it's like you want to make sure that it's not adding more to your plate, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Like that's going to be a huge fight, like in the end. So like there's, as hard as that is, like money matters. It's going to add a toll. Like even if you think you're going to fight through it, you're not. It'll become a problem regardless. And I think the whole like January through March thing also about like more people filing for divorce in those months, I feel like it has to do with like people viewing just like the year as like, you know, like at the beginning of the year, like you're hyped. And once you get to the end of the year, you're like losing hope a little bit. And it's like,
I'm fucking tired.
Yeah. Like if you're in a relationship where it's bad and it's like November, December, it's like, all right, we got 2 more months for this shit to snap back into shape. And if it doesn't, January, snip, scissors.
You're new me, baby.
You're gone. I honestly think.
Do you think like even like the holidays were like bringing in like family factors into that? So you're like bringing your significant other into like these family situations?
Probably like the pressure or like the commentary of like family members being like, so you're still in debt? You guys still renting, still not buying a home? Exactly, you still broke. It's really sad.
To dinner.
It's really sad, but like I think a lot of people like think that marriage started out as like a thing about love, and that's why they see it as like a really fucked up thing when you bring up money. But it's like marriage was never about love. Like, I was reading about how it didn't become about love until the like Middle Ages. Basically, like the first recorded history of like people getting married was like 2000, like 400 BC or something like that, like 20 something hundred BC. So people didn't make it about love until the Middle Ages, which was AD. So that's like thousands of years later. Like, that's wild. But marriage was never about love. Like, just get that through your head before you get married.
I can say I do think that there are some instances where people truly get married for love. But I also think that doesn't mean that they haven't had the hard conversations about finances, about expectations, about like where you see yourself. You know, I think that's, if you're marrying for love, that means that you've had those conversations and you're very like transparent about them, because then you're able to go into this like union together knowing that the hard shit has already been discussed and you're going to hit that shit together.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. Yeah, definitely. Like, it isn't to say that like marriage shouldn't be about love. Like, I'm a total fucking romantic and like a sucker for love. And like, if I get married, I want it to be about love. But it's just to remind people that love isn't enough. I've said that before. Like, love is never going to be enough to like hold down a relationship. You could love someone as much as you want. That doesn't mean you can like look past their flaws or their bad credit, whatever it is, as shitty as that is, because their bad credit becomes your bad credit once you're married. So, you know, and I know couples that like are older and like they never got married, and it honestly was better for them, for their kids, when it came to like applying for like FAFSA and shit like that.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's pros and cons to getting married and to not getting married, because, you know, like the pros for like getting married is like if somebody has a good job and they have good like health insurance, medical insurance, all that. Like, if you get married, and like now you can have that. That's a great benefit. I would get married for that benefit. But my thing is, like, I think I've said that so many times, and let me clear up. I wouldn't marry somebody solely because of that. I'm gonna marry them if I fucking love them.
It's a perk to it.
It's a perk, yeah. Like, it's not gonna be only because of that. Like, I'm not gonna get married to someone only because of the benefits. Like, I still believe that love should be the core of a marriage at the end of the day. That I think that we all have like been through enough shit and learned enough and progressed enough to be able to have these conversations where it's not like, I feel like back then the couples did not have fucking deep conversations.
No, not at all. Well, because also if you're saying like marriage was already this thing that was like somewhat pretty much forced, right?
Yeah.
There's no conversation in that. And also, men back then were not interested in whatever the fuck a woman had to say. Her word meant nothing. So there was definitely no conversations being had. And even like going back into like, I think maybe like generations like one over from us, like I think about like my mom and like just like people a little bit older than me, even like Nina's and stuff, like I don't really think like the hard conversations have been being had like beyond maybe like the past couple of years, because I think women now are, like we're saying, they're seeing their options and they're really, really like wanting to like hash shit out before they're taking that leap.
Yeah.
And not only women, I think men too. I think like there are some men out there who really truly are like, okay, if this is the route we're gonna go, let's like figure this shit out beforehand.
Yeah, because even men like back then probably thought like, oh, I'll marry a woman as long as she like is healthy and young and can like pop out kids for me.
Childbearing, right? That's like crazy. I'm just like, ugh.
Oh god, that's like a whole fucking.
It's just like a vessel at that point. Like if someone's like, oh, that's a good childbearing woman, like that, you're a vessel.
Literally, and like that's like what marriage was for men back then. Like they just wanted a woman that could pop out babies for them, and like if they married a woman, well, how it was back then, like when you married someone, it was like the father would like hand over the wife, and like the contract was basically like, oh, here is my daughter, and she will pop out babies for you, blah blah blah.
It was like a dowry too, right?
Yeah, like it was like an exchange of like little property. Women were property, and if she wasn't able to reproduce or pop out babies for this man, or like I think in some cases if they weren't able to pop out a boy kid, because you know it's like carries women, you know, that the men would be able to like divorce women and basically just give them back to the family. Like she doesn't work.
It
Here
didn't
you
work.
go.
Yeah, it didn't work. You can have it. This is my return.
That's horrifying. Like, excuse me, this bitch is broken.
I also feel like there's this conversation being had of like modern day women or like feminist women destroying like what the sanctity of marriage is because they're not.
I hate the word modern day woman.
But that's like the thing, right? That's why I'm like quotationing it. The modern day woman, the feminist woman, like. When in actuality, it's really just a woman who, like, stands up for herself and is about her shit.
A woman who is up to date on fucking knowledge.
And who just, like, doesn't take shit. Like,
yeah.
But I feel like there's this conversation being had of, like, that, like, way of being as a woman is, like, ruining the sanctity of marriage.
Yeah, like, she's doing something wrong by being knowledgeable or having standards or, like, having requirements or having something or anything to say.
Mm-hmm. I just feel like... Why are you shitting on someone for raising the bar? And this is what we were talking about at one point, too, where, like, you know, the bar for so long was set very low.
And hell. It was in hell.
And that goes into what we were talking about with weaponized...
incompetency.
Yes. The bar is very low on that. Like, it's just you're raising the bar. You're understanding who you are. And why would men not want a woman who knows who she is, stands up for who she is? Because that's only going to add value to your relationship. You
would think, but that's the same thing as men talking about how they want a smart woman, but then they get a smart woman and they actually don't want a smart woman. They want a woman who seems smart enough to, like, be smart enough to show off to their buddies.
Or is smarter than them.
Yeah. They don't want a woman smarter than them, and they don't want a woman that's actually going to challenge them. So there's a difference. It's all about, like, idealization and just, like, trophy wife status, like all that. It's fucking weird as shit. Yeah. So there was a study by Cornell University, and it basically what it came down to was that, and I have a freaking quote. Okay, the first quote, it says it's by Daniel T. Lichter. He was like the head person of the study. He said, marriage is still based on love, but it also is fundamentally an economic transaction. Many young men today have little to bring to the marriage bargain, especially as young women's educational levels on an average now exceed their male suitors. So basically, men ain't shit. I'm just kidding, but
women are woke.
Yeah, women are more educated and independent now. They have higher standards. Women used to need men. Now you have to actually want a man. And a lot of men are just not likable. And that's what I think incel culture brings to the table is men that are not likable. Men, like, dodging accountability and just, like, blaming everything on women being smart or having anything to say or having... It's like, I feel like incel culture is just trying to, like, maintain the status quo of patriarchy. Because they want women to just shut the fuck up and not have anything to say against, like, what has been going down or misogynistic shit at all.
And they're also looking for a reason to literally hate women. They're looking for a reason to say women are this, women are that. They're looking for a reason to literally bash women. The account that you had shared with me, I've never, ever looked at an account like that in my life.
The red pill one?
Yes.
Yeah, so that was on Instagram.
What the fuck? I was reading it and I was just like, all these people believe this.
Oh, yeah. That's the scary part.
Yes.
That's the scary part. There was actually a show on Netflix. I think it was called Evil. And there's one episode where it starts to introduce the devil and how he's, like, controlling young men and kind of getting into their head and telling them certain things and just basically making them very misogynistic. It basically introduces the whole idea of, like, incel culture and how dangerous it is because it's all online and it's, like, kind of like, you know, subreddits, like online little groups all over the world. That's the dangerous part, that it's all over the world, and, like, how easy it is to incite these men to just, like, have all this anger towards women and just, like, fill them with, like, this nonsense and make them literally hate women. And he, like, makes him go into, like, a coffee shop and flirt with the girl, and she turns him down, and then he is like, she doesn't like you because you're too nice and blah, blah, blah. And it's, like, nice guy syndrome. And then he, like, ends up telling him to go in there and, like, shoot up the place. It's, like, the devil. And it's just, like, pretty metaphorical for, like, what incel culture is, because, like, these guys that, like, shoot up schools and all that, usually it is fucking incels. It's usually based on men that get shut down and have hate for women, so they'll fucking kill anyone in the way.
It's like it's rooted in like insecurity. It's really like it's truly rooted in insecurity and like not an understanding of whatever the fuck shit they have going on.
Yeah.
But they're looking for someone to blame it on. And this group of people who they've like connected with, the easiest target for them is women.
Yeah.
They're like, women are the culprit in this situation, when really it's like self. Like, you should really be looking into yourself to figure out what the fuck is going on.
Exactly.
But it's the easiest thing to do is say, well, let's blame it on women because they rejected us, because we're not good enough, because whatever
These
list of things that they came up with.
bitches, like,
Exactly.
what good do they know? Oh my God, it's so terrifying. So,
It's
like,
so scary. That account,
I just
was
wish
like,
parents would like watch what their fucking kids are doing, because like literally like there's like young boys that are following, like if we see how many followers these accounts have, and that's just one account. Like there's people on TikTok, and Reddit is the fucking worst. Like that's where all of them are at, and like Instagram. But yeah, like there's so many people that follow these accounts. It's like red pill culture. Like these men that like view like their life as like red pill, blue pill, and if you take the red pill, you'll wake up and you'll realize like how shitty you have it as a man, and you're a victim. Like what? You're a victim, like a victim of women. Like what? Like they literally feel threatened by women waking up and having standards, and it's so sad. And like, what was that one thing I sent you? Oh my God, I have to. I don't even think I freaking like got like a screenshot of it. I don't know if you have it. Read it, or do you want me to read it?
Okay, so it's a cartoon of, it looks kind of old timey, like maybe 40s, 50s, and it is a woman behind a counter talking to two children, and the young girl saying, "Why does regular Barbie cost $19.99 and divorced Barbie cost $299.99?" And the woman behind the counter says, "Divorced Barbie comes with Ken's car, Ken's house, Ken's boat, Ken's furniture, Ken's jewelry, Ken's money, Ken's computer, and Ken's best friend." And the quote on it is, or the caption is, "Marriage isn't worth it for men in 2021. Let's dissect this, because I'm very curious as to like how, I'm actually very curious into like the conversation about prenups too, because
yeah,
that's
okay,
like a whole thing in itself.
which that is definitely a whole thing in itself, because I feel like the first time I ever heard the word prenup was Kanye West. Gold digger. It's like, the first time I ever heard the word prenup, and I was like, first of all, for the longest time, just sang the song, didn't know what the fuck I was saying. Then I figured it out, and I was like, oh. And then, of course, being a young girl, like, around men, I was like, yeah, for sure. Like, fuck these bitches. I was such a little pick-me-ass,
like,
stupid bitch.
They're protecting their coin.
Yes. Like, like, oh, my God. Like, that's why I feel so bad when I see young women, like, standing up for patriarchy, because I'm just like, you know what? I, too, once was a dumb bitch.
We've all been dumb bitches. It's okay.
It's okay. You learn and you grow. Look at me now. I'll fucking kill all of these fucking assholes, Like, you can't tell me shit.
Here she is with her whole podcast. It's all right. That's growth.
Growth, bitch, growth. It takes some women longer, but I'll never give up on you. I'll never give up on you. Yes, red pill. But, like, literally, like, yeah, I was like, of course, it's men, like, so whoever doesn't know, I don't know if you don't know, prenup is basically just like a contract where you set up, like, once you get married, that, like, whatever money you make, if you get divorced, it doesn't have to be split. Like, it's like, I made this
your
money.
individual money.
Yeah, because if you get married and you don't have a prenup, technically, whatever money you make together as a unit has to be split once you get divorced. So, yeah, that's the point of a prenup, is to protect that money, which is bullshit now that I actually fucking get it.
It usually mostly benefits the husband.
Yes, because first of all, let's fucking talk about it. Like, statistically, and I don't have the fucking websites or like anything pulled up to prove this. This is just based on shit I have read, based on actual factual shit. So you can look it up yourself if you don't fucking believe me. But believe me, spread the word, okay? Marriage benefits men more than women, okay? Married men make more money than married women. Married men make more money than single men. So when men get married, and the reason for this is because usually based on patriarchal standards, women do most of the domestic labor. Domestic labor historically has been very fucking undervalued. We're talking about raising the kids, cleaning the house, buying the groceries, all this fucking shit. Historically, that's why they said women didn't work in the 50s, right? They worked. It was just they didn't get paid for it. They worked for free. Men were off making money on the backs of their wife staying at home, making a home, keeping a home, raising their kids, all that. They were just not being paid. It was stolen labor. So when you say that like women don't deserve any of the money in a divorce, that's just not true, because they do, because these men wouldn't be able to be off working this many hours if their fucking wife wasn't at home taking care of the kids.
Like, you couldn't build that empire without that support.
Hell no.
Like,
no, at all. Like, if they had kids, or like, yeah, if they had kids and like they weren't married and the wife was off working too, that means they would have to pay a babysitter, a nanny, a maid, a tutor.
I just don't even think
homekeeper, like, all this shit.
I just don't even think like a single man trying to run a household like that and maintain a career like that. I honestly, like, I don't really see it flourishing the way it was back then. Even like maybe now it's a little different, but I think that's where kind of like the idea of like behind every good man is like a good woman. Like, I think that's what it is like women were the backbone in that time. And like even now, a lot of the time, like, you would not be able to do these things without the support of a partner holding shit down at home.
Exactly.
Like, you're coming home to a home.
You just think the home stays clean like that.
Food, all of that. Like, that's nourishment. Like, there's so much that goes into like
the shopping for the food, the cooking of
beyond
the
like
food,
the business side. There's so much that goes into it.
Yeah, like, no, literally what I think now more people are like starting to call it is like home management, or like it's domestic labor, but they're trying to like label it as something more like recognizable, because what it is home management. Like, you literally are the manager of the home, which like we could just jump straight into fucking weaponized incompetency.
Wait, that's what they're calling women staying at home while their man is like earning money?
Yeah. You're the manager of the home.
I would literally hate to be married to a man who is having a career and being called a home manager. If I'm a fucking manager, pay me a manager's salary.
Exactly, but that's why they're calling it that, because it is. If you think about it, you're managing a whole entire home.
Household, yeah.
Yeah, like, you're having to do all these tasks. You're technically a fucking manager. Yeah. Like, you're running a fucking business basically, but the business is the home. Kids, labor, cleaning.
It's like you're handling lunch, you're handling scheduling, you're handling sanitation. There's like so much into it.
It's like you should be getting paid more than any man has ever seen in their life.
And not only like the children in the household, you're taking care of the man.
Yeah.
You're taking care of the man. You're setting him up for success.
He's an extra child. He's an extra child right there. Yeah. So the fact that like men think that there should be a prenup, like that all the money that they made in their marriage should be all theirs.
How would you feel, though, just for perspective, and just on the flip, how would you feel if you were the more successful person in the marriage and you married someone and they were maybe less successful than you? Would you feel the need to have a prenup?
Not if they were taking care of my kids and taking care of the home, because I think women just have more empathy. Yeah. And like, we know the work that it takes. So like, for me, like, yeah, I know, like, especially if you have kids, you're not just sitting home on your ass. Like, I think men just like picture their wife sitting at home just relaxing, having a spa day, when in reality, like, they don't get a chance to sit down. Like, if they're not cleaning up, they're cooking, or they're taking care of the kids. Like, first of all, having kids is a full-time job, but like, kids don't leave you alone. Like, they want to be entertained 24/7.
I was like, what? I don't know if I was like reading something or I was having a conversation with someone, and they were talking about how wives in like the 50s, how they maintain like such a a very like almost like strict household, how they like got up super early, tended to their husband, tended to their household.
I think I saw this one,
and it was like saying like they were like taking drugs. They were taking drugs, meth. And it was like they were like amped up on speed and like fucking pills all the time because they were trying to run all this shit and like keep up. And then at the end of the day, when their husband came home, they still had to be a wife to him because they had all this other shit going on during the day, and then at the end of the day, they were taking another pill to go to sleep.
Yeah, because they're so hyped up from the other pills. Like, yeah,
That's
sure.
a fucked up cycle. It's a fucked up way to live your life.
Yeah, that's why, like, oh my God, the whole idea of prenups or, like, men thinking that, like, women rob them of half of what they make. And that is just one portion of it. Like, there's a whole nother side of it that people don't talk about, which, oh my God, it's, like, so much to it. But basically, we all know that women versus men aging is, like, seen completely different in society's eyes, right? Men become silver foxes.
Silver fox. They got that little salt and pepper.
Right?
Hair.
Like, oh, sexy.
Yes.
Women, disgusting old hag.
Aged out.
Old ass bitch.
Like, your expiration date. You've hit your expiration date.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, the fact that it's, like, 30. Like, I think Tina Fey had that one skit. I don't know if you ever saw it. Where it was, like, all them turning 30. I'll link it because it's just really funny and it's, like, great for this topic. But okay, so imagine you getting married when you're young to a man. 20 years later, you've been helping him build his empire. He has a prenup. You get divorced because you're finally tired of it. He's cheating on you and, like, you're doing all this labor. You raised his children, helped him make all this money, and he takes all his money because there's a prenup. And now you're 40 something.
The fuck am I gonna do?
What the fuck are you gonna do? He can easily, as an old silver fox, go get remarried. He stole all your fucking youth. What is the one thing you cannot get back in this earth? Time. Okay? You cannot get... No. Once you age, you aged. Like, you cannot get that back. As a woman, and you put in all your fucking youth for this fucking man, and the least he could do is give you fucking half of what the fuck he built off of your back. Bitch, don't fucking play with me.
And you know what's wild is, like, younger women are, like, into older men. It's like a thing.
Yes.
Because they're like, he's daddy's daughter, you know? Like, he's successful. He has his shit together.
I just saw, like, a TikTok about this.
Dusty-ass motherfuckers.
I just saw a TikTok about how, like, women normalizing dating older men because they're more mature normalizes older men dating younger women.
Yeah.
And pushing older women their own age to the side.
I will say that I do love the story, though, of an older woman who, like, maybe comes out of a marriage where she's not happy and, like, fucking figures her shit out and is just, like kills it. Because I think, like, even though you do age, like, and you get older and society sees you as, like, whatever, aged out, there is, like, so much peace that comes with being over 30. Because then you're just like, I'm not taking any of this bullshit from any of these motherfuckers anymore.
Yeah, for
Your
sure.
bar is literally, like,
an older woman. Yeah, that's what I keep saying is, like, the older you get, like, the bar is up here, the less fucking shit you'll put up with. So, like, older women are awesome. Like, I love them. Yeah, so prenups, don't do that. Don't do that. If you are a homemaker or a woman staying home with kids, and I'm going to say even if you're also working as a woman, because majority of the time most men suck at fucking keeping up with the domestic labor. So let's hop right into fucking weaponized incompetence.
I did not know about this until you taught me this term, and then I fell into a TikTok hole. And I was like, this shit is wild.
Wild, right? Because it's like something that everyone's familiar with, but it's just like you don't know what it's called until
you gave it
you
a name.
learn what it's called. Yes. So it's been trending on TikTok for like a few weeks now, and it's just amazing. It's basically, especially like in terms of a relationship, and I'll say specifically in terms of a heterosexual relationship, when a man pretends like he can't fucking do shit or like acts like he is incompetent and doesn't know how to do XYZ in order to just like manipulatively make his wife do it and pick up the slack. And, you know, like I think the most popular form of this, which I used to do this when I was little, is like pretend like I didn't know how to wash the dishes or like break a dish so that way my mom wouldn't want me to do it again.
It's funny because when I looked at this shit on TikTok, I was like, my daughter is using weaponized incompetence on me to do the dishes. This little girl is fucking acting like she doesn't know how to use soap and a sponge.
Oh my
She doesn't want to do it again. But also, like, it's definitely deeper than that. The one thing that kept coming up on it was like the woman asking a man to put the like dinner away, like the leftover dinner.
Oh,
and
God.
this will put like the entire crock pot to the side.
That's what I saw on TikTok. The entire crock pot with the fucking
oh my God, it's not
cord,
that hard.
the cord, the thing you plug into the fucking power outlet, the cord, the whole thing.
That to me is like, first of all, that's fucking lazy.
Instant divorce.
Like, second of all, like, it's not that hard to get a Tupperware out and throw leftovers in a Tupperware.
Oh, but that would mean he would have to wash the crock pot, though.
Oh my God.
He doesn't want to do that.
Oh my gosh.
He doesn't want to do that.
It's going to take out. But also, it's crazy because, like, I was watching these videos and then there was another one that came up where, like, the dads were sending the kids to school where, like, the dads had to, like, watch the kids or dress the kids. And they were sending them to school with, like, their clothes backwards and, like, in underwear.
The little girl that had both her legs in one pant leg.
Yes. And it's, so some of the things, though, like, before it became, like, a issue of weaponized incompetence, it was, like, LOL, dads. LOL, men.
Yeah, it's treated as, like, a funny ha-ha, like,
It's
oh,
not
men.
funny.
Men.
This is your
Imagine if it was
child.
wife, like, oh, ha-ha, my wife accidentally shot breast milk in my baby's nose the whole time instead of the mouth. Ha-ha, silly fucking mom.
And it's very basic things that are being asked. I mean, like,
Putting both the legs in separate pant legs,
you don't know,
bitch.
and you've dressed yourself for how many days of your adult life? Like, you know how to do these things.
It's
So
infuriating. The more you realize it, the more you get fucking mad.
I was in a hole last night. I was like, I need to go to bed, but I searched that hashtag and I was just like, what in the actual fuck is going on?
I think one of the first things that like went popular on TikTok was like this wife that sent her husband to the grocery store with a grocery list. And he literally like, you know, it's like she did that because she needed help, you know. As a wife, you're already doing so many other jobs. And instead of him helping her and like taking this job off her hands, he was calling her the whole time like, "Oh, like beans you mean like this, or like bananas you mean like this, or like where is the cereal?" Like to the point where like she had to draw him a map of like the aisles.
Was it the one where the woman was like, she put like the picture of like Chobani yogurt and like other things on the thing?
I think so, yeah.
I
Because there was like a few different ones that like went viral, but basically, yeah, it was like where wives had to like make maps for the men at the grocery store. Like groceries are like a women only thing that men have never been inside of. Like there's literally labels of what's in the aisle. You could literally just go up and down. And that's what I think is a huge problem in like marriages and why people get divorced is because you're not fucking useful or helpful anymore, bro. Like if your wife is asking you to do something for her, it's because she needs help. And if you're going to be like weaponizing your incompetence, you're just making the burden on her even bigger. Because now instead of helping her, now you're putting that emotional labor on her. Now she has to fucking be like, instead of like having that time to like figure her shit out and like have some rest, now she has to tell you where to go. And then men complain about why their wives don't want to fuck them, why they're not turned on.
I'm not going to want to fuck someone who doesn't know how to buy bananas.
Yeah, or because you're
wash a
tired.
dish.
Like if you would have had those 30 minutes to unwind instead of having to walk him through it, then maybe you'd want to fuck.
Yeah.
But if he wants to act like a dumb bitch, I can't stand a dumb bitch. I'm not horny around a dumb bitch. Ever.
I'm going to sleep. I'm taking a shower. I'm tired. I had to explain how to walk through the grocery store. Ugh. But I also feel like, so I think like weaponized incompetence comes down to like a couple different things. It comes down to like, first of all, you're being fucking lazy and you're being very selfish and you're using
manipulative.
You're manipulative, yes. And you're doing it because you're like, well, if I do it this way, then they might not ever ask me to do it again. So I think like in some instances though, on the flip side of that, I think it could truly be, because one of the TikToks I saw was like, someone was talking about like weaponized incompetence and the woman was like, well, in some cases, it could be like ADHD. It's super like small case. But she was like, that's where you have to sit down and have the conversation. And this is what I was thinking about too. Like you have to really like sit down and have the conversation because obviously you're married. Yeah. So you can have the talks and be like, yo, is this really something that's not in your like arsenal of things that you can do? You just don't know how to fucking do these things. Like let's try to figure it out together. And if you can't do it, then let's compromise. Yeah. So maybe these things are not something that you can do and it's just like not there for you. Yeah. So let's compromise. If you can't
what
help me
can
cook
you
dinner,
do?
then you help me clean it up. You help
What
me
can
get
you
everything
do?
out. And you honestly take full ownership of that task and do it without my help.
Yeah, something where I don't have to be
Yes.
hovering. Because if I have to hover or even think about hovering, it's not helping at
And that's
all.
where we as women just get the like label too of like being naggy and being nitpicky and like
Because we
micromanaging.
have to.
No. We just want shit done right. And when
Yeah.
you do shit like that, it's really hard to trust that you're going to do it right.
Yeah, because I think so many people like push off shit as like, well, I don't have to do it this good. But it's like, you think you don't have to because if you don't do it right, somebody always comes in and like fixes it for you. This could be for like a job or anything. Like you think we're like, I can get away with doing it lazily. Yeah, you can, but the reason that shit keeps moving forward steadily is because somebody had to come in after and fix it and do it right for you. It's not because like it magically just fell into place. So you're making it harder for somebody else. You're adding more work for somebody else to do. So just like be conscious of that.
That even like falls into like a bigger picture of like, if you are weaponizing your incompetence and you have a family, what kind of like tone or like what example are you setting for your family? You're like showing them like your dad can half-ass things. Your mom is the one who's fully capable of doing everything in this household, and maybe not your dad so much. You're showing them that like you can low-key like trick and scheme your way out of things. You're showing them that like it's okay to like kind of like lie about things to get out of things you don't want to do. Like you're not really setting the best example for the household when you're doing that. And I think in your head you're like, well, I'm just gonna do it so I can get out of it really quick. And it's like, no, it's like a much bigger picture.
Yeah, like it's not just you in a fucking vacuum, bro. Like let's be mindful of who this is affecting, and that's empathy at the end of the day, which a lot of people lack. So there was a lot of really incel-y type shit I seen on Twitter.
You sent me the most incel shit that I think my phone has ever seen. And it's little life ever. I was like, oh, what the fuck is going on?
I don't even remember like how I came across like that Instagram red pill shit. But then this is on Twitter at OMOALUFAA. Omualufa. Secret lover. I don't know. Said, why are men losing interest in settling down?
I also said losing
interest in settling down. That's why. Can't even spell. And then William Simpson said, because men are realizing that there is no benefit for them in a marriage. A man is basically gambling half of everything he owns on the fact that his woman will never leave him, especially if he is already getting everything he needs from a woman without the marriage.
I'm just shook that men think that the only person gambling something in taking the leap of marriage is the man. And also, we were talking about like marriage earlier being like about love and stuff, but like when you take something that is like supposed to be this thing that's rooted in like love and a promise and all these
building
together, and you give it this like title of like a gamble and like say all these, like you just make it so ugly. And
like you don't know what the fuck love is, bro.
That to me says like projection. That to me says like you're projecting whatever the fuck has happened to you onto this situation of marriage. And like, that's not necessarily like what the answer is. That's more so like
that
what your opinion is.
You don't know shit about love. Because you don't see marriage as anything to do with love, if that's what the fuck you got to say about it.
How do you feel about the last part where he said, especially if he's already getting everything he needs from a woman without the marriage? Because we were talking about that earlier. We're like...
Yeah. So basically the whole, like, why buy the cow if you're getting the milk for free, right? That's the whole saying. And, like, I feel like a lot of women fall victim to that. And I could see what it means. I could understand it. For sure.
I think we're just nurturing too, you know? Like,
I think we're naturally just loving. I think we naturally want to do these things. We're naturally just like, quote unquote, wifey at heart, you know? And I think that's why you should be careful because, men will take advantage if you're giving them everything that they need in a wife without them having to wife you.
Yeah, they're going to ride that shit out as long as they can.
They're not going to wife you. But that's why you have to have these conversations. Like, you need to talk to that man and be like, do you want marriage? And if he does, then, set a time frame for it. As fucking weird as that is, I think you have to, like, it comes down to the same thing about, like, women losing value as they get older. But, like, if a man is gonna drag you along and then, like, you never know if he's gonna leave you once you hit a certain age to marry the woman of his dreams. I don't know. I think marriage and, like, the whole idea of, like, having something, like, written, having something as a contract, like, having something to lose if you walk away is beneficial for a woman, because you never fucking know who you're marrying at the end of the day. And I think it is beneficial because if they have nothing to lose, they'll just walk away and leave you. And, like, if you're doing all this wifey shit and you know you want to get married, then maybe don't do all that wifey shit. It's not to, like, threaten him into it, but, like, I think that should come with marriage. That should be a benefit of marriage, right? Like,
I also think it's not you're losing your value. It's that you're wasting my time. If what I want is marriage and I'm with you and we're dating for however long and you're just stringing me along, you're not depleting me of my value. Yeah. You're wasting my fucking time.
Exactly.
And that, to me,
because I could be doing this for somebody that values what I have to give. Because, like, this is what I have to give regardless. And not just because I did this for so many years with you means that I can't do this anymore. Like, this is like a fucking fountain of love I have to give. But there's just no point in being with someone that doesn't appreciate it at the end of the day. So just figure out what the fuck the person you're with wants and move accordingly. If they tell you they don't want marriage and you know you want marriage, move on. Don't ever think you could change someone's mind. If they tell you they don't want kids or don't want marriage, listen to them and believe them. That's it.
How, like, soon on in, like, dating someone do you have, like, the conversation of, like, oh, this is, like, what I want. I want marriage. I want kids. Like, how soon on in that do you have that combo?
I feel like I've had it literally as early as the first date before.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. With my boyfriend right now.
Really?
I told him, yeah. I was like, I don't really want kids. And he was like, me either. And I was like, dope.
Second date.
Let's die. First date.
Yeah. No, I'm saying second date after that. After he said, I don't want this, and you guys agreed on it, then you were like, second date, yes. There we go.
Yeah.
I think that there's guys that I've been on dates with sometimes, and, like, I know that they, like, allude to things that they want that maybe I don't want. And so I'm just like, okay, this isn't going to work, without us even having the convo.
I think the sooner the better.
Yeah, exactly. I'm, like, a huge believer in, like, if we don't want the same thing, then let's not play this out.
I think too many people think that they could change people's minds because of, like, love or whatever. But no, if somebody doesn't want something, like, you're not going to, you might, but that's not a guarantee. And it's not worth it to try,
And I think at some point, you might, like, start resenting someone, like the topic of kids. Like, one of you wants kids, the other doesn't. So, like, say you decide to stay together and the other person's like, well, I'm willing to compromise on that, because I love you so much.
I don't think that's something to compromise on.
At all. At all. I've dated a really nice guy before who I know wanted kids and wanted to like, get married. And that's not where I was. And I was like, this is not going to work out.
Yeah.
Because that later on, that shit's going to pop up. Like,
yeah,
that resentment that's a huge one. Like, and I don't ever want my partner to feel that way.
Because that's not something that can easily go away. Like, if you want kids, like, not just because you are like, all right, I've said this before, like, if you compromise on something, that means you're not getting what you want. So even if you both compromise, that just means you're both not getting what you want. And, like, in some cases that can work, but when it comes to, like, a lifelong decision, like having kids or getting married, that you're both going to breed resentment and it'll end up catching up in your relationship. You'll end up hating each other, fighting about it. It'll keep coming up. Something will happen. And there's always, like, that story of, like, fucking Neo about how he had his wife get her shit.
Do you say?
Yeah.
I didn't hear that.
And then they ended up getting divorced. And then he got with another woman and she got pregnant. Yeah.
I don't want to hear that. Neo's trash. I want to hear. Trash. Oh my God, I hate that. I just like, I feel like relationships you have to compromise, like, like,
of course, yeah.
But children.
But there's certain things.
Children, that's a huge one. Marriage too.
Yeah.
Like, I think you can be dating someone, and if they want marriage and you don't, if you lie to yourself and you're like, oh well, that's fine. We can just, like, ride this out. It's fucked up. You're, like, cheating yourself.
You can't. Yeah, no, because that's like just like a desire that you're always going to have. And it's just not fair to yourself. It's
You're
not fair to
lying
the
to yourself.
person. Like, even if you want to suppress it, it's not fair to the person, because I feel like even subconsciously it'll show in your actions and your love.
1,000%, yeah.
So you got to, like, pick and choose the things that you're compromising and, like, realize, can we compromise on this? I don't think so.
Yeah.
I
I
just don't
feel like
think
there's
so.
some things that just are not a compromise. Like,
Yeah,
straight
no.
out.
There's
flat out.
certain things where it's like, nope. And that's fine. And that's called boundaries and standards. And you need to figure out what those are and stick by them. And you cannot bend. Like, you will hate the other person if you end up bending for certain
I
things.
feel like, why are you selling yourself short, too? Like, for what? For companionship? Like,
there's not a million fish in the sea.
Like, there's so many fucking people in this world that there is definitely someone out there, I feel like, for everyone. And I think that we sell ourselves short a lot of the time because we want to settle for companionship. We want to settle because we feel alone. We want to settle because we think we're expired, or like our time is like come, or whatever the fuck it may be. There's all these like societal factors that make us feel like we have to like just settle down with whatever. And I truly don't think that's the case at all.
Literally, I think especially like the fact of like for women pushing like you need to get married by a certain age. Like, no.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think especially the older we get, no. Like, it used to be like, oh my God, if you're not married by 25, you're fucking old and you're not good anymore. Like, what? No, I don't think there's like an age limit. I think the older you wait to get married, it's probably better. I think actually statistically, the younger you get married, the higher the divorce rate, right?
Well, like, you're younger too. When you're younger, you're not as like well versed in life, so you just like kind of more so jump into things.
And
not to say
not
like
so
younger marriages don't work,
in their standards.
That part too, but not to say like it doesn't work. But that's why that statistic is the way it is. I feel like because you just like kind of low key like jump into shit. But I also feel like marriage is rooted in love, right? That's like what it is. You marry someone because you love them. There's no expiration date on how long you can fall in love and how much you can love. So, like, no matter how old you are, you're always going to have the ability to find someone who you love and vice versa. Like,
there's stories about old-ass people getting married at, like, 70 years old.
It's never like, okay, you're 50, so your ability to find someone and fall in love is over. Like, I think that a lot of that is rooted in, like, our, like, fixation on, like, attraction and, like, sexuality. But, like,
ageism.
Yes. And, like, so much... Marriage is more than that. Marriage is more than like sex, and
it's more than attraction.
I mean, that's a part of it, but
it's a huge part of it.
That goes into our list too. The list that you asked, I was thinking about that. I was like, do I add this? Am I a fucking ratchet if I add this? But no, it's important. Like, it's important.
No. Before we get into that, let's read one more fucking incel shit because I hate them. So another response to that question about why are men losing interest in settling down. And this is a screenshot from, I'm pretty sure, a woman, which is really disappointing. Okay. Because there's nothing in it for them. What exactly does marriage offer men today? Quote, men know there's a good chance they'll lose their friends, their respect, their space, their sex life, their money, and, if it all goes wrong, their family. Says Helen Smith, PhD, author of Men on Strike. They don't want to enter into a legal contract with someone who could effectively take half their savings, pension, and property when the honeymoon period is over. Men aren't wimping out by staying unmarried or being commitment phobes. They're being smart. Unlike women, in the end quote. Unlike women, men lose all power after they say I do. Their masculinity dies too. Lord. And that just goes to show you even a fucking bitch with a PhD could be stupid.
I just like hate the title of that book, Men on Strike. Like,
okay, girl. Nobody fucking wants you anyway.
Like, who about that?
I already know y'all ugly as fuck.
A fucking
stinky
little group
balls.
of incels. That's the book club right there.
Nobody wants you.
I hate the end part too. Like, men lose all power when they say I do. But that's the thing. When I don't think that marriage, any part of marriage is about power. I think it's a union. It's like a union of two people well, I mean, like the good side of it, right? Besides like all the other things we're talking about, like on the good side of it, on the part of it that works, and on like what it should truly be about is a union of two people confessing their love and making a promise to each other that they are down as fuck for each other and down to ride or die with each other till the end of time. Outside of prenups, outside of all this other bullshit that people are getting involved. Power should have no part in that because that's like ego. Yeah. And when you're making a promise like that to someone, ego shouldn't be involved in that. And the part about like their masculinity dying too, that just sounds like some weak dick shit. And
literally, like, what the fuck what are they talking about where they lose? There's a good chance they'll lose their money and respect, space, and sex life and their what?
It's like fear propaganda.
And it literally
like,
is.
Married,
like,
you're gonna lose everything.
You won't have friends.
Your friends are gonna hate your family.
I know plenty of married people that still have friends. What do you mean? Like, if you lose all that, then you're not in a healthy marriage. And that's just a completely different conversation. That has nothing to do with, like, regular just marriage as a topic. And if you're, like, trying to fearmonger, like, this fucking bitch, Helen, fucking whatever your name is.
Helen Smith.
You stupid bitch, Helen Smith. Stop being a stupid bitch.
Some of the most fun I have is with married people. Like, it's just a different level. When it's a healthy ass relationship, like,
I love
none
a
of that
healthy
is
marriage.
Yeah, like none of that's involved. I'm so upset that she literally put this list out of like, this is what's gonna happen when you walk up to the altar. You're gonna lose your fucking.
She's feeding into the patriarchy, and it's so sad. She's a victim, and I'm just like, Helen.
Who hurt you, Helen?
Helen,
girl. That ain't
come
right,
on.
boo.
It's so sad. Like, no, we already established. Any money that a man makes off the fucking back of a fucking woman, she deserves some. So let's stop that.
But I don't even think her idea of like what a woman does in a marriage comes into play in this at all, because this is all on the man's side and all in like everything a man has to lose. Like, she's just like, when you step into something with that attitude, then shit ain't ever gonna work out, because you come into it with the idea that you professing your love and making a promise to the person you love means you're going to lose everything.
She said their sex life.
I mean, one of the perks of marriage is that you have
like, consistent raw sex. I mean, unless
you have a big spoon condom, for life.
Whatever. Big spoon, little spoon, whatever you're into.
No, come on. Helen, is she married? I'm very curious.
Oh my God. I doubt it. Like, for her to say all that with her chest. That basically just goes back to, like, these, like, certain stats that I have about, like, reasons for people, like, not getting married. And it's just, like, it basically has to do with, like, the lack of emotional labor and emotional, like, competency.
Kind of?
Like, not even connection, but just, like, the fact that, like, women have to do everything when it comes to maintaining like a relationship, like the actual emotional connection.
You're just tired at the end of the day. You're like,
so like,
why am I going to do anything else beyond what I've done already?
And this is not to excuse cheating at all, but it's like very easy to see why like women fall into like cheating. Not to excuse it at all. Still shitty, because you should still be able to talk it out with like your person. But I'm just saying, you know, like if somebody else comes along and hears them out, and this is why you hear men talking about it too, like if their woman like isn't listening to them, and this is not to excuse either of it. I'm just saying you should always be open ears and willing to communicate with your partner, because that's all you have with your partner. Like if you're not willing to communicate and like listen and hear them out and be empathetic, then what the fuck do you expect, honestly?
I think it like comes into like that thing too, where like there's this like idea of like a bored housewife, or like, you know, like an unfulfilled housewife. And it's like, because
like the 50s with the mailman,
even just like in general, I think like that's like kind of like that's like a role that's like portrayed often as like this this unfulfilled housewife, this unhappy housewife. And it's just like because conversations aren't being had, and like I think comfort plays a role in it too. You know, you get really comfortable and you just get into the like role of whatever it is you do in your everyday life, and shit happens.
Yes. And so I have a quote. I don't remember where I got it from, but it's like really fucking relevant and it really stuck with me. So basically, it was that women get married hoping that their man will change. Okay, so women are like, okay, I'm going to marry this man. And then hopefully once we get married, he will be a better man and be a better husband, right?
I feel like you're fucking up already if you're going into something thinking you need to change someone.
Yeah.
Why? It's not your job.
100%. Men go into marriage hoping that their woman never changes. That she stays the good woman that she is. Yeah. It's like men don't get married until they find a woman that fits exactly what they want.
Their little mold.
Women are like, hopefully once we get married, he can show up as a husband the way I want him to, or a father. And that's where we're fucking up. That's where the disconnect is. Because, and that goes back to the whole, like, getting the fucking cow thing.
You're not going to buy the cow if you're getting the milk for free.
Yeah, because, like, men are like, this cow, great cow.
She provides milk all the time.
Fucking great cow. Of course I'll fucking buy the cow.
It's always going to be there.
This milk is delicious.
I like, feel like, too, like, oh, there's, like, so much here. So I feel like already when you're going into a situation like this, if you're thinking, like, you need to change somebody and that's, like, your hope, what are you doing? Like, you're signing yourself up for a whole job that's, like, really not yours to even begin with.
Yeah, no, like, that's the thing is, like, with a marriage, when, like, women specifically want men or hope that men will change once they get married, is, like, they won't. They're not going to change. They think that they're good where they are at, you know? They're not thinking, like, okay, I'm married now, I need to do better. They're like, I'm married now I can fucking chill.
Like, I already got it. It's good.
Yeah, no man is getting married thinking, like, once I get married, I have to step it up. And even, I think men are marrying women because they're like, I want to marry her because she's clearly a good wife. They're not like, I hope she's better. But yet, most women are like, I'm going to be better still. So it's just, like, so unfair.
I think, like, just in general as humans, we change. Like, we change every year. We change even more so every couple of years. Like, it's like there's that thing of, like, you become a new person, like, every couple of years or whatever, just, like, as you grow. So going into a marriage, you have to be aware of that and understand that, like, there's going to come points where you are not that same person who you married. You know, there's, like, maybe your core is the same, your heart, your values, your beliefs are the same, but you as a person is going to change. Yeah. And I feel like a part of marriage is understanding that and understanding that, like, you have to grow together. Yeah. I have definitely seen instances where men specifically went into marriages and did become better because of their partner. Because women were fucking amazing. Like, we, like, really, truly can nurture things and grow and, like, help people be better. We, like, grow children in our bodies, you know? So I definitely think that I've seen examples where, like, men come out of the other side better because they've married a woman who fucking puts in the work and helps them. But I think
those are men that are willing to change, though. And that's what you need to know before you go into a marriage is, like, is this man willing to change? Like,
or even willing to just grow with you?
Yeah. Like, anytime that I have brought up something, was he, like, willing to listen and implement change? Or did he just brush me off? Like, and, like, a good test of this is just, like, anytime you bring up anything that upsets you is just, like, did he actually, like, recognize it and apologize and change? Or was he just like, oh, okay, and then, like, told you what you wanted to hear and then just went back to his fuck shit? And that's where you recognize, like, do I want to marry this cow? This man cow sucks.
Do I want this milk forever because it's tasting a little expired? I don't really think so. I like almond milk anyways, so.
Exactly. I was going to say one last thing I wanted to get into really quick because I know we both voted for if we want to get married one day. Not sure yet. What requirements would you have? Say you're dating a man. He's dope. But, like, he wants to marry you. What are, like, the things that he would need to hit or things that would make you not want to marry him? You know, like, what would turn you on or off for it? Any hard yes or no's?
Okay. So I have never really, honestly, thought these things out until I saw this question in your notes. I think I've thought about men I'm down to date.
Something to think about.
Really, yeah, I've never really, like, laid out a list of, like, marriage requirements because, like I said, that's not, like, on my like.
I haven't either. And like, to be fair, like I wrote this question and I literally haven't thought about it. So
yeah. So did you think about it like after you wrote it?
No.
Have you thought about it?
No.
Okay. So my ass, being the Virgo that I am, I fucking Googled, like, what are the top qualities that, like, women look for in men? Because I know, like, what I want, but I'm just, like, curious. Like, what is out there that, like, women are looking for, you know? And, I mean, it's, like, it's the pretty basic things. It's, like, for me, this is just me, like, right off bat, and this is one of the things that was on the list, chemistry. I think chemistry is huge because chemistry is the thing that, like, on the first date that you're, like, oh, this is, like, kind of cool. I want to, like,
yeah,
you know,
I think that's
want to
very important.
Yeah, like, I'm kind of down for this. I'm down to see where this goes a little bit more. Chemistry is the thing that, like, distinguishes between, like, someone you see as a friend and someone you see as, like, a potential, like, lover or, like, you know, partner. So I think chemistry is super important because I think chemistry initially becomes the thing when you get older and you've been together for a long time that, like, keeps, like, the thrill there, right?
So let me interject real quick with that. Like, do you think that people should marry their best friend? Like, not like your best friend, but, like, do you think that it's important to have a friendship or view someone as your best friend if you're going to get married?
Friendship was on that list. So, and it's funny that friendship was on that list because at one point a friend of mine were having this conversation about, like, boyfriends, what we wanted. And she said top of her list was friendship. And I was like, well, I don't fucking want my man to be my friend. I have my friends. And, like, just, you know, like shooting that shit down. I was like, I have friends. I don't want my man to be my friend. And then when I really thought about it and now, like, seeing her with her partner and, like, her man actually, and, like, they're super happy and there's, like, a friendship there because she even told me, like, you know, you build a friendship with someone. And two of my best friends who are married to each other, there's, like, a friendship there. And their relationship is completely different than maybe other ones I've seen because at the end of the day, there's, like, a friendship intertwined in that. And I also think it makes you more empathetic if, like, maybe you see an end to the relationship and you're like, okay, this person isn't someone I maybe want to be with much longer. It makes you more empathetic to, like, the fact of, like, how you break it off because you're like, this is someone I care about outside of a relationship. It's like a friend. Yeah. So let me kind of, like, approach that in that way. I don't know.
Yeah. I think that's important. Yeah.
But I also don't necessarily, I don't know. You know what? I retract that because I want to say, like, I don't want my partner to be my best friend, but also, like, if it's someone who I'm spending, like, 24/7
your whole life with,
like, then
like, it should be someone that you like. I think more specifically why that matters is because, like, say you and all your friends are married and it's like you think you have your friends, but what if your friends have their friends in their lover? And it's like you are like, hey, let's do this stuff. And they're like, actually, I'm busy with him.
I'm with my man.
Yeah.
Like, sorry, your man's not your best friend like my man is.
Yeah, I feel like you should be able to, like, do all these best friend things. Like, things that, like, it's like, of course you should still have a relationship with your friends. I think that's super important is to have your friends at the end of the day. Like, they do say single women with no kids are the happiest demographic. And then after that is just, like, single women that have friends. Like, usually women that, like, end up living with their friends when they're older in, like, a big-ass house. I'm down.
Let's go. Like, where we living.
But I too much fun with my girls.
I know. It's
the most beautiful fucking friendship
and also relationship you can have. Older and you're just, like, past the bullshit and you're just like, let's fucking.
It's the most beautiful, I think, relationship you could have is just with your girlfriends. So, but that's why I think it's important to have a, like, friendship with somebody that you're in a relationship with, like your man or your significant other. So I think it does matter.
And I think it's, like, the core things that you're looking for in a friendship is also, like, the same things you'd be looking for in a relationship, like loyalty, someone who can understand you, someone who accepts you for who you are, someone who listens. Like, it's kind of like the same criteria for what you would look for in
someone that balances you out.
Yes,
like, exactly. With, like, friends, it's always, like, the fucking loud, annoying one and then, like, the quiet, shy one. Or, like,
the yin and the yang.
It's always, like, a balance, and that's how it should be and how it usually is in a relationship.
Yeah. So, friendship, I understand now why friendship is on the list. And I agree with it, too.
What about, like, finance or anything like that?
Fuck yeah. For sure.
Do you, like, want your partner to make more money than you?
I don't want them to make more money. I want them to – I feel like going in a relationship, like, especially as you get older, you know, you learn so much like as you get older, and you work so hard to like get to a point where you feel stable and you feel like, I guess, successful or whatever you want to call it. So whoever's coming into your life, I feel like you should almost be like equally yoked. Like, you know, like I think it gets to a point where like if you're dating someone and maybe they come upon hardships and like they lose their job or, you know, they're like struggling, then you can help them. But like coming into the relationship, if you're already on the struggle bus and like I gotta fucking help lift you out of that, like that's a lot. And to be quite honest, that might be okay with some people, but that's not okay with me. Like, not to sound like a bitch, which I probably do, but like that's just a thing for me. Like I've worked very hard to
that
like,
ain't no problem,
you know.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
I
completely.
think it's
I don't think you sound like a bitch about it. I think that's like a normal like expectation to have, or like not unreasonable, at least, you know.
It's like we're grown. Come on. Like,
yeah,
you want someone who has their shit together.
Yeah, because that's super important. Super important. Like I said, like I know someone that's been through. I know like people that have been through like divorces and all that, and like I know people that literally have said, "Yeah, I love them, but financially it wasn't working," and like that's why they couldn't work out. It had nothing to do with love. So I think that's really important. It's nothing to just kind of brush off or like be shy about. Like if that's your standard, like can't be shy about that because it's important. So like if that's what it is, let it be known. And it's like, yeah, like we both have to equally be making the same amount of money, or like I'm fine with making more money than you, but as long as like you're trying actively to better yourself or whatever it is, but like know your standard and just you're not a bitch, you're not a gold digger, you're not this or that for like having anything financial as your standard. It's normal and it's important because if you look at divorce rates and all that, like money is a big issue. So like don't ever let anybody fucking tell you otherwise.
I think
about your standards.
People are like afraid to have the money conversation too.
Yeah, people, because like, people are like, oh, gold digger, or like, oh, like you're shallow, or like money hungry.
How do you feel about like splitting the bill? Like if you went on a date and a dude was like, let's split the bill, how do you feel about that?
Never talking to him ever again.
Same. As much as I'm like, I make my own money and if I fucking go on a date with you and you're like about to split this bill,
and you
I'm
know
like,
what?
You're about to call yourself an Uber. I don't know. Like, I'm about to call myself an Uber because if you don't drive on the date, I'm probably going to think something too.
Yeah, and I think the whole driving thing is like one thing, because I used to for sure be like, a guy should pick you up. But I think safety issues, maybe not on the first date, because like you don't need no fucking random knowing where you live.
I don't really think I go on dates with like randoms though.
Or at least like somewhere not directly in front of your house, maybe like the nearest corner or bus stop.
I've like met people on dates too. I feel like that's kind of safe.
Yeah, so I guess like it depends like where you live and like how much you trust them, or if you know them and you don't want them to know where you live. But, like, paying on the first date, I for sure think if somebody asks you on the date, they should pay. But I also think if I ask a dude on a date that he should still pay. Is that bad?
No. It's just, you know. I feel, this is my thing. I'm like, the first date, if you say you want to split the bill, I'm like, no, this is not going to work. But, like, as you start dating someone and as you guys, like, start kicking it and shit, I'm like the type of person to be like, all right, I'd let me get this. Or
let me
like,
get this round or whatever.
You know, just like.
I feel that. And, like, it sucks because, like, I totally get, and I'm totally on the side of TikTok of girls being like, nope, I never paid. I'm like, yes, queen. I wish that could be me.
I don't know. I just feel like I'm the type of person.
I
like,
respect it because I know that there's men that will fucking pay for everything.
Yes.
And
but I also think it's more so in a relationship. Like when I'm in a relationship, sometimes I'll just be like, let's fucking go get something to eat. I'm going to treat. Like, you know, like that's just.
I think the only way it works otherwise is if you're like dating a really fucking rich dude.
Yeah, then you're paying for everything.
That doesn't hurt his pockets. But realistically, in this
economy... If I'm not signing your prenup, then you're going to fucking pay for everything.
Oh, yeah.
Including my BBL. I'm just kidding.
I literally just talked about that on the last episode. I went on a quick little sidebar about BBLs. I was like, I really want one.
Really? I'd be so scared. So I want, like... There's a lot of things that I want and that I would get, but I think a BBL scares the fuck out of me.
Oh, yeah, and that's what I said. I was like, BBLs are crazy. They're, like, high mortality rates. But, you know, I basically just said, like, everyone was really, like, brainwashed for a minute. like we were all like under a hypnotizing spell of like, I need a BBL, but like I still want a fat ass and a snatch waist, and that's what I said the last episode. But now I'm just like more like aware to like how deadly. There was like a really like popular Instagram model that died.
Yeah, I seen that.
And she looks so good. And she looks like her shit would be purely from working out. Like, she didn't look like a Cardi B body or, like, Summer Walker body. Like, she looked like muscle.
Yeah.
She did look crazy, like, fat ass. But it wasn't, like, the typical BBL body.
That
yeah.
Maybe it was hers by birth.
Yeah, but she fucking died. And I guess, like, her surgeons were always like, no, you good. But, you know, at the end of the day, they let her be like, no, I want it. And then she died. So it's scary. BBLs are deathly. Highest mortality rate out of all the surgeries. So
they look good though sometimes.
They do. They do.
It's like, if you're willing to take that risk, then take that risk, boo. But I'm gonna pray for you.
I know.
And maybe if I'm having that much money,
but that's what I'm saying. For sure. I think if you pop out a fucking kid for a man, and if he wanted a kid too, that he should pay for whatever type of mommy makeover fucking shit you want. You want your titties redone, any type of mommy reconstructive shit. Like anything. Even if it's your face. Even if it has nothing to do with birth.
I'm like, you're going to get this Botox
like
from me.
Push
because
gifts.
my face is falling from me fucking stressing out over your children.
Literally. Have you heard of push gifts?
Yeah, okay. I think this is fucking hilarious because there was it was like a tweet or a meme too that was like, fellas, they're asking for push gifts, and it was like, get out now or something. Like, do you know what it's like to carry a child in your body?
Are you kidding me?
For 9 months at most. Sometimes it could be a little less.
And the fact that like guys are like, oh, this baby shower. That's a baby shower. Where's the mommy shower?
It's a gift. It's one gift.
Bitch.
A lot happens in your body in that time. Like, a lot, you know? If you're asking for a fucking bag or whatever your gift may be, it's not really, it's not a lot for what you go through.
Yeah. No,
you're pushing something the size of a child's head through something the size of this. Like, come on.
Women deserve a fucking gift for giving birth. And then, like, that tweet.
Buy me that Birkin.
The Birkin.
I'm just kidding. I don't really want Birkins. I think they're ugly.
I know. If they were cute, I'd be like, okay. But there's so many cuter purses that, like, you could get for, like, cheaper, you know?
Yeah. I don't want a purse. I want something like, I want a baby
car.
goat. Little baby goat.
A baby goat. I'm on a car.
I'm like, a car's cool, but like a fucking baby goat.
I'm dead.
Let's talk about it.
No, there's like plenty of things, but basically anybody that gives birth deserves a gift. And that's separate of the baby shower. And men, you do not deserve a push gift. Because basically, like, the thing I saw on Twitter was, like, this man complaining. He was like, yes, women should get push gifts. But what about us men that deal with you women and your crazy emotions during pregnancy? Where's our gift for, like, thank you for dealing with my emotions?
First of all, y'all always trying to take something and make it about you. It's not about you. It's not.
First of all,
you're literally harboring a human being in your body, and men are saying,
you tried it.
But what about me? But
you
what
tried
about
it.
me?
You fucking tried it.
I can't even. You know what? The gift
Idiota.
is your child.
Idiota.
And your wife. And the person bearing your child and taking care of them.
I can't take
and
it.
Mothering them. Like,
yes.
Y'all are silly.
Wild.
Tried it.
So, if we got to say one last thing about marriage, any advice? I mean, neither of us are fucking married, so what the fuck does our advice mean?
It's so funny because my family was like, the fuck are you going to talk about marriage? You're not married. You don't even
April's all, wait, what is like, what experience or like, what does she know? I'm like, bitch, what do I know? What, you know, I'm just here with my fucking opinion.
I'm like, I've watched my best friend's wedding.
Okay.
Knowledge, right?
I don't think you need to like specifically go through shit to know about it. Of course, it makes you more like knowledgeable about it. But I think, you know, outside perspective is good. And I think going into things with standards and requirements is better than going in blindly. And who knows better about that than bitches that ain't married?
I don't think it's about experience. I think it's about another perspective. And, you know, there wasn't an agenda here to try to say, like, you should or shouldn't get married. It was just two perspectives of women who really don't fucking know if they want to or not, telling you why they don't really know those things. So take it with a grain of salt. If it applies to you, cool. If not, keep it pushing.
Yeah.
And thank you for listening.
Would you say, because you voted, you're not sure yet about if you want to get married or not, would you say you're leaning more yes or no?
More yes.
Me too.
Mostly because I believe in love. I believe in true love. I believe that there's someone for everyone. And like, who doesn't want someone at the end of the day when shit gets hard to like have a ride or die? Someone who's down as fuck for you.
Yeah.
Granted, you have the conversations, you get through all the bullshit, and you like figure shit out, and it's like the right thing in the right way. Who doesn't want that?
Exactly. I agree. And I definitely just think that like at the end of the day, it just like if you want love and marriage, just make sure that you have somebody that you are able to have open and vulnerable communication with, someone that like will listen to you and your concerns, and if you have problems, that they're not running to Snapchat to look at strippers on Snapchat. That's fucked up. But if you're already there, somebody that you can have that conversation with to fix things, because putting in the time, it's worth something, and it's not always worth everything. Sometimes it you should just walk away, but more than anything, you should try. And I don't know, it's rough, but I think if you love someone, you should be able to talk to them about it. But follow me at Simpin After Dark on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. You can follow my personal IG at Ash_Friday_.
And you can follow me at Erica Mo Vintage. And I have a TikTok as well. I think that's Erica Mo VNTG, but that's really just videos of my cats, honestly. So
we love cats.
If you're into that, go for it.
I love cats. And keep up with all our shit. Wild7 Studios on Instagram. And see you guys next time. Thank you so much for sticking around. Shout out all the new followers. Shout out all the OG followers.
Bye.
Bye.
Wild7 Podcast Network. Listen different.